Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to the What Do You Say podcast, where we talk to remarkable individuals from all walks of life. I'm your co-host, Andrew Termini. If you like what my brother Frank and I are doing here, please like, subscribe, and leave us a review. And remember to hit that notification. Our next guest is an open format DJ who's traveled all over the U.S., opening up for platinum artists like 98 Degrees, Ludacris, Juvenile, Twista, Chingy, Ying Yang Twins, and Petey Pablo. He's the official DJ of the Kansas City Royals and Sporting KC. He's won Kansas City's Best Party Club DJ 4 times in a row and has a long list of corporate and charitable affiliations. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome DJ Ashton Martin to the What Do You Say podcast.
Welcome to What Do You Say, the podcast that peels back the layers of remarkable individuals to reveal their extraordinary sides and their incredible lives. I'm your host, Frank Termini, and I'm absolutely thrilled to embark on this journey with you. The podcast name's What Do You Say, but that's not how it's said.
How do you say it?
We say.
What do you say?
We say.
What do you say?
We say.
What do you say?
You got it. We say.
Hey.
Those dogs get us every time.
Every time we start.
Man.
Every time we start, they
That's
do
how it
it.
goes.
Nah, they'll stop. Don't pay attention.
All right, Frank, you can go ahead and start us off.
I can start us off?
Yeah, well,
Ashton.
I'm going to turn this TV on, so.
All right, good.
I knew that's how you said it.
Ashton, right?
We say.
Right? We say.
Ashton.
Yeah, that's it.
Real name.
Real name. Great name.
Yeah.
Well, because that's like my car that I've always
Right.
wanted. Like if I ever get like FU money,
That's it.
I'm getting the
Vantage,
Ashton.
DB9.
No, the one from the 007
the real-
movie.
Oh, that's real. The real FU money. The real.
The blue Aston Martin from the which one was it?
I'm a Bond fan, but I'm not like that. So funny that you're saying this. So I'll touch on this quickly. I'm from a small little town, southeast Kansas, Westphalia, 80, 90 people, rural farming community. Having a name like Ashton Martin in a small town where it'd be more of Jonathan, Michael, James, typical, right? So a lot of Ashchins, a lot of Ashley. I had long blonde hair. I looked like a girl, sort of like my daughter, actually. She'll love to hear that later. But yeah, so having that name was confusing to some, I think. But they finally learned it. But, you know, it has been a strong name for me. It's worked well. I do like it. It's done well. Yeah,
Hold
solid. But my dad heard it later in a movie, James Bond,
Right.
later, because they said Aston Martin. I'm sure he heard Ashton Martin like everybody else. And that's kind of, he thought of it. Him and my mom thought of it, or like anything else that you thought. They came up with it in the hospital.
I thought
They didn't name me from a car.
I thought it was named from the car. I thought that's a great
No.
DJ name.
And then there's been some confusion with Rick Ross and Aston Martin music because to me, he says it is saying it is what it sounds like, Ashton Martin music. So when that came out, whatever year, I don't know, ask a DJ, do we know one? O-ish something. A lot of people were like, yeah, we always thought that was like, I'm like, no, I wish I had some royalties on that, but no. No, they didn't name me after a Bond movie because that would be what that would have been then.
Right.
Before. No, it was, they had the name, the way the story goes, and it's been told to different people, or from different people to me, is dad and mom came up with it and they heard it on a movie later. Well, that movie had to have been
Has to be James
And
Bond.
James, what else would have been? Because
Yeah.
we had a satellite dish. We didn't have, we had to rent a VCR down there. Like,
When I was reading your deal
Mm-hmm.
and you said you were from a town of 80 people, I thought that's got to be a typo.
no, 80. So when people what I gathered, I didn't know any different. Like how I was raised, like my grandpa, they're from St. Louis, that's how you'd say it. They moved to Kansas City. He actually ran a crane. He was a crane operator downtown KC, kind of where P&L is. He was knocking buildings down. And he wanted to move the family out of the city. They lived over by Piper, and he wanted to move the family down to the country. So we bought a plot of land outside of Westphalia and farming equipment and started plowing, started farming. That's what the family did immediately. So that's what happened. Bought a house in town. And then my mom later bought it. And so I was born in I was not born. I was born in Iola, but I was raised in the same home as my mom was kind of raised into.
So you went small town to Spotlight, really?
Well, it was small town to sort of, because my grandma owned a bar and grill in that town, and there's not a lot of little kids running around in that town. Well, she had a jukebox, and I could reach a cash register. I could get quarters. So I was really good at pool. I was really good at playing music on a jukebox. And then that kind of rolled into, I really liked Dwight Yoakam, Hank Williams Jr., and a lot of country. Well, this band was named Bandit, a little 4-piece band. I think she paid him $50. And there's a picture of me singing with the band with T-shirts, $3 on the wall, like $3. So influencing people with music and entertaining them was like kind of, it was kind of there. It was just kind of like right there. I kind of just took it. Like I used to greet the tables and act like I was taking their order. I was always like talking to somebody.
Well, you have to forgive me. I had never heard of you.
That's
okay,
fine.
and that's, I mean, at the end of the day,
No, that's great.
My head's been, in the sand with kids, and so
I totally get why would you have known by raising kids? Why the hell would you have known that I was playing downtown? No.
So when
when
he said your name, I'm like, well, here, I'm going to check him out. I'm going to listen to him.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly, from listening to your music, you have a very diverse taste in music,
which is why I'm open format.
Right. So Dwight Yoakam, and who was the other artist?
There's Dwight Yoakam, Hank Williams Jr. I mean, I can remember the 8 tracks. And see, well, here's the other thing. When my grandpa moved down there, that also came with me obviously came with my mom, her sister, but it also came with they rolled as a crew. So my grandma had 12 sisters, 1 brother. So there was 4 of those sisters, I think, that moved there. My grandpa's mom lived there. His brother lived there with his wife. Then the cousins lived there. So there was probably 20 family members. So I could ride my bicycle from the top of the hill across the train tracks and pass 2 grandparents, 2 aunts, Sunday. I just didn't
That's
know.
awesome.
It takes a village. I was very fortunate to be raised like that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
School was there too.
Right.
Kindergarten through 8th, same 13 kids, 9 guys, 4 girls. All the way up through.
So
how'd you guys make a sports team?
So it was all the cheap stuff. So what do you make a sport? I mean, it was co-ed.
Yeah.
And there's Mennonites, there's Dunkards, there's German Baptists. So we had kids that for certain reasons, we were your teammate was a girl with a bonnet that could outrun you, straight up. It was very multi, everything. I grew up with you made it work. Normally it was an oil company that would sponsor you. Boots Oil was one that was my summer league team for baseball and t-ball. And they just made it work. It was just cheap cola in in one of those cheap styrofoam Casey's things. And you had a summer league team. And for baseball, that's summer league. Sorry, I went there. But for the school, oh no, man, I was wearing basketball jerseys and uniforms from the 70s and 80s. My books had people's names in them that my mom went to school with.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was very much
everybody knows everybody.
100%. So if you were bad in school, which of course I wasn't, right? That Sunday at Mass, you would see the farmer, and then you'd see the teacher, which is his wife. So it was very much close knit. Raised, obviously Catholic church.
how many siblings?
Just 1 brother, 9-year difference. He's younger, I'm older. And then, he's up here with mom. So now it's mom and brother migrated up here to KC kind of as we made our way around. There's still family back in Westphalia. Nobody actually in town, but as you can tell, it's the kids that have stuck around to keep the farming going. Deeker's a big name down there. Heiberger's learned a lot. I'm going to blank on names, but there's still, I can still go down there and there's still people that they're still there. Kids I went to school with. One of them's the mayor, my buddy Quentin Weber that went to Garnett. Either went to Garnett or Burlington. I'm the only one that went to Burlington High School. Everybody else went to Garnett. So I drove when I was 13. I was driving legally to high school with my brother to Burlington. And then I would just 18 miles there and 18 miles back. So, so that's where there's no high school. I had to drive.
So when you got done with high school, you went to KU.
Correct. Yep.
And you majored in what?
I did. I started with psychology because when I started flying, I got a scholarship. So something about Burlington, Kansas, and Coffee County is we have a nuclear power plant. So pretty much everybody in my family either worked in outage or they worked at that plant. Great benefits, paid well. It was just the place you worked. You know, that's just kind of, you could do other things, but did pretty well. With that comes a lot of federal funding. And so our high school looked like a D1. I mean, it was with that. Now it's even more. There's like 2 baseball fields or 4, whole wrestling complex connected to the school with this huge stadium. Like it's pretty cool. It looks like one of the ones up here in the city.
Right.
So they offered scholarships to fly. So I started flying and right at the little Coffee County airport. So I was flying little Piper Cherokee 140s and 180s. I want to say it was like 15, somewhere around there. So that got me going. I always wanted to fly ever since I was little. Like my mom used to tell me I wanted to.
You started flying at 15?
It was like 14 or 15, I think.
How many hours did you need of training prior to being able to go up by yourself?
Oh, not as much as you think. So that's what I was telling him. So you can solo after I think legally, don't quote me on this, might have changed, but like 6, which is 6 times.
Oh, come on. Are you serious?
I soloed 7 times, and on my 8th, I flew by myself and landed right in front of my mom and my instructor. And I was maybe 15.
That's crazy.
Maybe. So I was flying a plane, and I had no fear. Zero.
You can't
Zero.
do that.
We were chatting before, and so I'll parlay into this. So I did ROTC, Air Force ROTC in Lawrence at KU. So the whole idea is you get a degree, 4 years, you categorize as a fighter track, or you could do like KC-135s or whatever you wanted to do, right? So then you categorize and you go to pilot training. So I'd already been flying for 5-6 years. I mean, what was I, 20 then? 18, 20? Yeah, 18 years old. So 19, 20 by the time you categorize. There was kids that went on to fighter track or went to flight track or pilot training that actually had never flown a plane, which was kind of wild. So I mean, and I didn't realize that until I was like, wait, they did this little Civil Air Patrol stuff out of Lawrence Airport. They're a little municipal. And there's kids out there that wanted to fly, and I'm like, more power to you. But a lot of them went, and it wasn't what they thought, and then so they didn't end up going. So they made cutbacks in 06, 07, and then I was a non-technical major, psychology, so I added exercise science, stayed another year, and then moved to Kansas City in 08. But I was already bartending and hustling when I was I was bartending when I was 20, actually.
So this all went down in the last 15 years. This transition from. Well, I shouldn't say.
I mean, a transition because I was ready to go hook, line, and sinker straight to the Air Force and fly. Because I'm like, whatever I do, I try to. There's really no throttle back. It's like 120 in, like whatever it is. So I was like, that's what I wanted to do. So I was bitter for a little bit, because it's sad to. Well, I like change. I can move, can flex, but at the same time, I was like, this is what I wanted to do. I've been doing that. I went to boot camp. I've been living this life. It wasn't obviously a hard life. There was very little stuff you really had to do, like PT at 6 o'clock in the morning, big deal, whatever, you're young. But other than that, a couple of hours a week. But then once you make that commitment to go to boot camp, you're technically like an E3 and you're active. You come back and you're treated like a second lieutenant. So I was, already living that, ready to go. So when they cut back on that, I was like, this doesn't really go with my plan because I've been wanting to fly, So, but at the same time I was doing that, I was also bartending, running bars, being a part of parties, learning how to DJ, met a couple guys that actually DJ'd at the club, Axis, RIP to that old place.
Yeah.
The one before that was where J.R. Giddens got stabbed at the Moon Bar, Lawrence. I don't know if that puts it on the map for you. But anyway, yeah, it's one of those. But the one after it was called Axis. It's actually where I met my wife. And she was bartending at the same time. So I was bar manager there, learned how to DJ on records, and then kind of took what I'd been learning with music kind of on the side, and it kind of brought it all together for me, being able to mix it live. So, because that's when Serato had just hit. So that's when the integration of MP3s you can manipulate with records. So with the needles.
Yeah, you starting on vinyl.
I started on CDs.
Okay.
But then because I didn't have any other way. And the girl I was dating at the time, she printed off of recorded off a bunch of CDs, and I would put them. I didn't know I was putting them in BPM, but I was putting them in BPM, but not knowing it.
Right.
Does that make sense? So I knew these would mix together. Like it was like Walk This Way and like Usher, yeah, and like Melon. It's all like 98 to 103, but I just knew them by like the order. Basically, I was creating sets. And then I'd go through and then play that weekend and play that set, and I could move these around where I wanted to. Salt Shaker here, Usher, yeah, here, Get Low here. That kind of thing.
Oh,
It's very crude.
Yeah.
But then these dudes had a computer with records, and I saw them just searching the music, and I'm digging through CDs, and I'm like, what is this? So I had like a $200 Gateway laptop, stripped it of everything, bought a $50 little bitty hard drive, external hard drive, put music on it, that Serato. And then we saw the Serato box. And then after that came the 57.
Yeah. Serato changed the game.
100%.
I mean,
It's still changing the game. It's wild.
Yeah. That stems.
Yeah, I was going to say
feature.
latest release now stems, like being able to be on that from now to see what it is now, and then seeing the newer DJs come in and see what they have now, but never knew that. It's wild.
So
Yeah, it's crazy.
how did you go from, so to me, the transition from playing other people's music, right, to creating your own?
Right. Well, see, hold on. So I'm not primarily known as producer. I'm like, it's okay. So if you want to like say there's two different things here. So like we're talking about stems where you can hit certain things and isolate the instrumental or the acapella, and I'm doing things live. I've honed in on, I'm solid at that. I'm extremely efficient at that. And I can move through genres and beat match and do things on the fly and be the open format and kind of genre bend. That's kind of where
you'll have to explain open format.
Yeah, so open format to, okay, so then you have EDM, you have country, you have rock, you have hip hop, you have 2000s hip hop. Now you have 2010s hip hop, and you have the new hip hop, the 20s. So for me to walk into a room, let's say it's a corporate event this Saturday, which is true, and there's a demographic between 23 and 90. Let's just say that. Well, open format would be, how am I going to make everybody in that room happy, keep the energy high? I'm going to do that by playing Boogie Shoes with Usher Yeah over the top of Uptown Funk, with the beat of Uptown Funk, with Whitney Houston's Dance with Somebody, then out of Dance with Somebody, go into ABBA Dancing Queen, and then hit a transition up to It's Tricky, out of It's Tricky into, see how that
So
goes.
you're going to cover 40 years of different genres.
But making it make sense is the
Right.
idea. Sometimes you got to just make something work, but majority, like, that's what an open format guy is, who's playing, or a girl or DJ is playing at a wedding. That's primarily what, but you can take that and really run with it because there's no rules. Now, if I go play Breakaway Music Festival out at Sandstone or Missouri, whatever it is now, that would be, I'm going up there and I'm playing a tech house set. So it's going to be, this is what it is. I'll be playing tech house. Okay, cool. Now, do I have some edits in there? Sure, that I've created with Vinyl Richie. That's an awesome producer. Sure. I can tell a producer what I want it to sound like, and they can do that for me. But do I know the program enough to go down and sit and do that? No. Right when I was sitting down and wanting to learn and do that was right about the time my career took off. So I saw it more, well, you got to pay bills. So I saw it more, it was the smarter move for me to, I enjoyed getting out, shaking hands, and building relationships and playing venues and being in front of people. That isn't necessarily what producing is. So being a 23, 24-year-old, that is where I was like, okay, that is my strength. I'm going to do that. So I was out playing. So I kind of missed, at that point in my career, early mid-20s to even now, I just never got the opportunity. I even wanted to do it during COVID. I was like, I even bought Ableton. I was like, okay, I messed with it. My mind just does not work like that.
What's crazy is
it does not work like that.
So I started with production,
right,
and then went into DJing out of a necessity. But I feel like the DJ and the producer, you're talking about the introvert versus the extrovert. You know what I'm saying?
So it's, you take an Avicii, again, RIP, like you take him, like he was creating music. I don't know his full story. I mean, you can look it up, whatever, but take just any kind of introverted, they're creating this music, and then you go put them on a platform, and now they're playing Tomorrowland in front of 1 million people or whatever it is. That's a lot for an introvert.
Oh yeah.
I just wanted to create music for people to hear it and love.
Yeah.
And then they're like, cool, well, here's some fireworks, stand on the stage and play it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's obviously more into it than that, but when I just like being able to read a room and be able to hone in on the energy all the way around the room. Now, take a producer. This is they produce this music. They're going to come in. I know what I'm getting. They're going to play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way up to 59 minutes. Set's over. Thank you so much. Music down. Yay. I respect that. That's awesome. That's something that I can't do. Never said I could. But I think my strength does lie in there where I can pick parts of songs now with stems for sure and like manipulate and move and really, we don't have any rules.
Well,
You can play to the room, but it just depends on where I'm at. But it's fun. It's like actually overwhelming at times. You're like, okay, where are we going to go with this?
I mean, I feel like because of I've heard you multiple times.
Way too much.
No, man, no.
Yeah.
And because you have a sense of rhythm that is nonstop. There's never a lull in any of your sets, man. Like,
Yeah. I appreciate that.
And
I try to keep it that way.
On top of it, being a scratch DJ, you know, there's DJs that can work a fader, and there's DJs that can work a crossover, and you work a crossover. A crossover is changing.
Crossfading. You're just cutting real quick. So you've seen, or maybe you haven't seen. So like I find creative ways. I try to get through new music, but nodding at the old music to keep everybody entertained. And the whole idea is to keep people. You're telling this story throughout the night, like oh, and you take them. Then you have your ebbs and your flows and your peaks and your valleys all night long. You can do that with cutting. I change my transitions up. You can just mix music all night long. That's cool.
Yeah,
it's fine. I always wanted to be a little more I don't know, more edgy, like run the line a little bit. And then also I think it's fun to have surprises. I think there's a lot of different DJs out there now, because it is easier to be a DJ, but like it's up to you to utilize all the resources and all the technology you have,
Right.
You have a $4,000 MacBook and $5,000 of equipment in front of you. If you just want to mix music, more power to you. I would rather beat on all these buttons and figure out what they do and make it make sense to the crowd and make it fun. You know what I mean? There's just so many millions of ways to get from one point to another. And then I'll see a DJ on IG like streaming. I'm like, oh my God, why didn't I think about that? There's word plays. So you can take one word and then tie it together. A simple one like Cardi B's Up. Then you have Young Jock going down. Meet me in the clubs going up, down. And then the crowd's like, oh, if you get them tracking with you, then you can do it's a real quick example, but like you can all kinds of stuff.
I mean, you could have
use them to sing to bring you into the next song.
You can have that concept and mindset, and even know that what you just said. But I've also seen DJs who try to scratch that really should not be out.
Yeah, there's another thing. I don't think you should do, and this goes with anything. Like, don't go fly a plane until you know how to fly it. I mean, a little more, you die there. Nobody's going to die, I don't think, from a transition, but you may want to after you make it and it doesn't do well. I know what you're saying. There's always the levels, and you get into levels and EQing, and we're not all perfect at it. You try to make it, as smooth as possible. Everybody's heard a bad DJ, like they've heard a bad band, or they've heard this or that, or something just was a little off. Maybe they had a bad day. But if you cut super hot over something, or it's like you see the whole,
you're like, holy shit.
You're like, oh. Sometimes it's an error, but sometimes they just don't know. And I think that's again there's not any gatekeeping really. You just go buy the equipment, figure it out. Again, more power to you. But when you get in front of a bunch of people and you're on big boy sound and it's unforgiving, everybody in that room, whether you know music or not, is going to know if you know what you're doing.
Oh yeah.
At least once. And you're going to have to look at all of them in the face, and they're going to know you don't know.
Yeah. So your degree is in psychology, right?
Yep.
Okay. So do you use that as a part?
I think more than I admit.
Yeah.
I'll be real. I think a lot of people take like going out super serious. Not like everybody, but when I can get a good read on a crowd, if I'm like, wow, we're super serious tonight. Okay. Because I'm not. Because it's not what we're doing.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? We're playing music and having fun while people have shots and drinks. Like in the very pure, like the smallest amount. That's what we're doing. We're just throwing a party. Lights are down, cool lights, playing some music. You sing back. So I take chances. You're going to haul 300 leave at the same time.
Yeah.
I'll bring you back in 30 seconds. Calm down. Do I use it? Yeah, I think it's one big social experiment. That's what you're doing. When you take a chance, in my opinion, that's what you're saying. Like, okay, they're going off to this. I know they're going to go off to this, this, and this. So we're going to bank that. So what could I do now to play that they may not 100% grab onto, but if I can get them just to like, okay, and it all starts with if you're opening for yourself or whoever's opening for you if you have one. But if I get to open for myself, which I do love, I just play all over the place, like all over, like from Sublime to Blister in the Sun to whatever, the Violent Femmes, like whatever. I go all over so they don't know really what to expect. So then you have this big net casted to 300-400 people and they say there's 200 flipping all the time, right? You're saying you're trying to hold half in the room. Well, if you've touched on all of that, then they're conditioned to like, this dude can play anything. And as long as then you get some mic work leading in there and you can challenge them, be like, who knows this? Where my 80s babies? Where my 90s babies? You know, be prepared when you're 39 to say, where my 80s babies? There might be 4 of you. No, it's still like you do 2000s, weirdly enough. Then you play a throwback to them, you know, whatever, you know, that could be a Fetty Wap song, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
You know, a sing along to them is, you know, A Ladies. Sing along to my mom is Guns N' Roses.
Right,
You know what I'm
right.
saying? So whoever's in that room, you got to kind of know. But there's staples, but it's definitely a social experiment. And one of my favorite ones to do is in big like a 10,000, 20,000 person crowd, and it's all the same. You just let it out there a little longer, and most of the time they'll take it. And then if they don't, have another banger ready.
And it's got to be hard too when you don't know the demographic.
If you don't know the demographic, well, see, and that's the thing. A lot of this would make clients nervous. Like knowing your music, knowing what you're capable of, and being able to look. It's just getting more work and gigs under your belt. You know, it's all those $100, $150 gigs I did, or whatever, back in when I was 25 all the way up to whatever. It's all those gigs that some DJs would think don't matter. Those are all the ones that make me the DJ I am now, for better, for worse.
Yeah.
Because you learned something from the 40-year-old when I was 25 that was yelling at me. Because you know, right? You probably don't know this song. And you're probably right. I probably should play that song. Because that is what you and your crowd that are spending money knows. So sure. And then I start working that in. So I played the Raoul's Velvet Room on 119th Street. I played all of, but I was in my mid-20s, late 20s. So I got to learn. But all I would have to do is think about what I grew up on. Like, what would my mom want to hear right now? Well, that's easy. I could blast for 30 minutes on that, you know?
So how did the transition go? Like, what's the biggest crowd you've played in front of?
I don't know, probably 40, 50,000.
Okay, so you started out playing at...
The hardest rooms are the ones under 50, ones under 100. I'll say that all day long. You give me a DJ that does nothing but travel and play big rooms with production, lighting, sound, cryo, like fog, smoke, mirrors, all of that. You put them in a 150 person room. I hope they do well. I don't want anybody to fail. But I'm telling you, that is where you learn how to DJ.
Yeah.
Front and center, when you're looking them dead in the face, that 24-year-old is the most brutal critic that you're ever going to have. Doesn't mean she's right. It just means, like, this crowd you're looking at on the TV screen, that's tacos and tequila. That was 22,000, I think. Not probably in that moment.
Does that ever get old?
No.
I mean, that looks badass.
Yeah, it does.
No. Because what I do is I set it up, and then I can go to the front of the stage, and I can get both sides. Right side's VIP, left side's GA in the boxes. That's at Legends Field. And that is like, no. It's 2000s for those who don't know. It's a bunch of 2000s artists, which is amazing. It's so fitting for me, and I was so honored to be asked to do it because it's literally what I used to dance to when I was in college, and the music I learned to mix on. Now I get to play like right next to them. Some of them I run their sets, like, and we become friends. So like these were just rappers and names and people that made awesome music for us to dance to. Now these are kind of buddies. They are buddies. They're friends, some of them. And I get to play in between the sets and know, and this is where the opening and programming comes in. So say this one has Ludacris, Petey Pablo, Mike Jones, T.I., Yin Yang Twins, Little John, right? Say that has them on there, and Montel Jordan. Well, I can't play any of their songs, and those are typical bangers, for a DJ to have. So you have to know a little more. So, and I always like to keep it, I mean, the average, this is why it's so cool. That's a bunch of, the demo in there is probably 30 to 50, 60. There's some young ones in there too, but like, these are people that are like coming to see their people from, the 2000s, right? So playing in between the sets, it's like if Mike Jones is coming up, I keep it a little more south, but then keep it a little more mellow, leading into him, or Baby Bash, basing off what it's going to be. Like there's a point when night they're all drunk and it doesn't matter, but once those lights go down, once the sun goes down, but that right there, like baiting, leading with that crowd, you can set them up all day long.
So
it's awesome.
So you start out with, say 100, 150 person room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you gradually get bigger and bigger. Talk me through the progression, right? From these small, 100 people rooms.
Mentality wise?
No. Not, well, I want to hear that too. I want to hear how
Or the progression of like how I handle it, or how you progress to that.
How you progressed, business decisions you made.
So
Well, but I also want to hear how you responded to the increased crowd, right? Like I have to think the first time you played in front of 10,000 people,
So
that
the
had to
first
be
time-
the biggest freaking rush.
yeah, so the first time it was opening for Pauly D at Power and Light in 2015, and it was.
And how long had you
slammed.
been DJing at that point? 7 years?
Yeah, around there.
About 7
Yeah.
years.
So that was my biggest one, and that would be like, well, again, this goes back to relationships. Like nobody does this on their own. I mean, you got to have hustle, and you got to make decisions, and you got to take a lot of chances and think, I hope this really pans out. But Jason Bradley, he hit me up to, hey, do you want to open for this? It makes sense, sure. And then that's how I got to do that. I opened for New Kids on the Block. That was about 7,000 women and me on the front of the stage at Power and Light, waiting for Nick Lachey to roll out there. So 98 Degrees. Sorry, not New Kids on the Block. 98 Degrees. So like when you get those opportunities, to be real, like you don't play any differently than I would play in a 150 person, 200 person room, because you kind of freak yourself out. Like you try to think like it's different, and it is different a little bit, because you got to make sure the people in the back hear it, and you got to entertain them in the back. You got to talk to them in the back. Where's in the back? You got to keep them entertained. More mic work a little bit, or not more, but more creative mic work to get everybody involved. Because the whole idea is you want people, you're amping them up for the next person.
But like I'm picturing this, like, you know what I'm picturing, like before a big game.
Oh, how do I?
You know what I'm saying? Like this anxiety, the nerves, the sweaty palms, the dry mouth.
You're gonna find this funny. That isn't how it worked for me.
You didn't have any nerves,
I was like, get me, let's go.
You can't wait to get out there.
Let's go. Like there's not one thing that enters my mind. Like you got to play like everything's gonna work perfect. You got to play like your computer's not going to shut off. And these are all things that have happened to me. You got to act like phase isn't going to clip out on you. You got to act like the sound's not going to go out. Somebody's going to blow a breaker. You have to act like nothing is going to, there's literally, I can take it and just flip a switch. And I think corporate events help me with this. So some corporate events I'd be waiting around. I'm going to transition back, but you hurry up and wait. It's kind of military vibe. You get there, you set up your sound check, 4:00, band goes on. They like it like 8 or 9 after let's say the charity auction. I would get called up early on, and I would play like 1 15-minute set, and then I'd wait an hour and a half, and I'd play a 30-minute closing set, and then I'd go to a club and I'd walk into Aura and I'd play the 1 to 2:30. You know what I mean? Like I'd be like my job was to flip a switch and go. So I got real solid at just being able to there was no opening. I got to where there was really like no opening sets for me. A club, you can walk in, you build the room, you cultivate it. All right, everybody, there's some girls over here, get the birthday, the bottles are going out. You building it, go, right? That isn't like that when, like, you walk out and you're on fire on that. Like there's no 300 miles an hour. You're mocked, you're coming out. Because if you don't, you got a shell shock, and then kind of dial back and you don't just, it doesn't have to be 1,000 miles all the time, but like for something like that, yeah. I mean, they're paying for a show, and I'm just a DJ on the flyer.
So how did you scale yourself then? Right. So how did you?
That was the biggest challenge. That was one of the bigger challenges of my career, was how do I scale my own name?
Right. What was?
So building, I'll try to keep this on track. So building my brand and building my name, and as a DJ, I would consider that a very egocentric, selfish-ish, if you will, way of life, because it's your brand, your name. You're up there DJing. Like that's what that is, right? How do I scale that? So I scaled that by trust with the clients, the owners, whether it be corporate, private, whatever. I built a name of executing at a high level, always being on time. The simple stuff that sometimes people forget, communicating. Don't let the email set. I answer all my emails within a couple hours. My phone's at 0 before I go to sleep every night. So when they wake up, they have it ready, and when they email me, it's done. Scaling for me, that was the hardest part, because they were used to me, I was used to them, and trying to bring other DJs up and elevate them at the same time. But it was me telling them I wasn't going to play their party. At the same time, I'm sliding over, but you didn't want it to be sleight of hand. You want to be transparent. Hey, I got this DJ over here. He's awesome. I'm unavailable. that kind of thing. So that's how I scaled. I guess that's how I built my brand. And then about 6-7 years ago, I focused pretty hard on helping other people build. And it wasn't that I didn't before, but I became kind of like rolling into the OG area, right? 32, 34, 35, whatever. So I was like, okay, people were asking me more to mentor them or whatever. So I was then I started realizing that there was a responsibility that came with that because I'm on a platform. And I had to be paid more attention to what I was doing and what I was moving, because I'll take any lunch with any DJ that hits me up, and I'll say it right wide open on a podcast, and I've before, because I think it's fun to listen to where they're coming from, listen to their goals. So I just really wanted to help our brand or our market elevate consistently, whatever area it may be, and however I could. Like I wanted to take over the whole thing. Some people accused me of that. No, if people asked me to help onboard, then I would do it, and I would onboard. Like when I say onboard, that would be, hey Ashton, I own such and such bar of Element OP, and we want to do DJs on Friday, Saturday. Cool, sweet. I sit down and we do simple stuff like create a calendar, and this is what it's going to be. Let's run it for 8 weeks, that kind of thing. And I would, yeah. So that's how I started scaling. So it was kind of started getting like really kind of muddy for a while.
Well, it sounds to me like as you started to focus on others and elevate the entire, I guess we would call it DJ community in this area, your name organically just got bigger.
Yeah, and that wasn't ever my intention. Wasn't like, man, if I hook up a bunch of DJs, yeah. Right. It wasn't. I didn't do it for any. I didn't hit people up because I thought I'd never take. I try to keep it as business as possible and not be personal, because it's not. And if the client, put it this way, I'm on phone calls every single day, and I'm not talking about me DJing. It's almost the last thing I talk about. Like it's literally what the call is not about. The call is about production, curation. How do we make your event better than last year? Because I've been with you a decade, and I have to reinvent myself. Everybody's seen the Ashton Show. I know it. I've seen it. I've heard it. And
can we put something on, Drew?
I don't know if he has any. You have any your mixes on there?
You can go to my website and just hit stream live. I don't update a whole lot of them. Those are just from COVID. It's probably me yelling at a microphone.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not really. I mean, you could go to like Instagram if you wanted.
But there's really no substitute for seeing you live and seeing you how you work the mic live.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And that's another thing. I think where it is now, where it's come now, and I don't want to skip all the way ahead, but like there's so many little things that have occurred. Like COVID was wild. Yeah, we all know that. But
it had to kill you.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, $0 in 2 days. And this isn't just me, it's everybody. Like we all like hit each other. I'm like, how many emails did you just get today? Canceling, wanting their money back, which I totally understand. Wanting their deposits back for events. I sent them back, a lot of them. So what I did there, I pivoted, and a bunch of us we started streaming. I started streaming from my basement every day to keep my mind right. And then we started getting, like, we didn't know who was open. So we'd have like a local business that was open because you could do like liquor out of the door in Missouri side, to-go cups and stuff. So we started doing, they would like sponsor it for like $400, and we split $400 between like 6 guys or whatever it was. We'd get on there and be like, tonight's sponsored by such and such. So we were kind of doing that. It was kind of wild. It's kind of a weird time, obviously.
Oh, it was a terrifying.
But at that time, I did build out something because I was anticipating everything to come back psychotic number-wise at some point. So what I built out kind of worked, but I didn't build out enough. And then as of October of 22, I brought in a partner, Eric James, local DJ, more on the luxury side, smart dude.
I know EJ.
Yeah. Yep. So the thing about him is that I grew so quick that, which is cool. But the thing is with growing quick is the way I handled things, the way I did stuff, I knew was archaic. My numbers were right. We're close. And everybody got paid. When I started doing payroll a few years back, that's when things start really, so there's really no, like, there's always something every minute to do of the day. Payroll's this day, then I'm doing books here, and I'm trying to get my mind transitioned to like DJing. Thursday, you're going into gigs, but then you're coming back and doing Monday, so you're getting like really torn. Like my head was like ripping in half. And I'm a numbers guy sort of, but like not enough to where I want to sit in a room. I mean, that goes back to the producer side of things. Like I know what my strengths are. Yeah. So
Nobody loves doing their taxes.
Eric, yeah, I'm like, what do I owe? Like just whatever. So, you start restructuring, business models and opening LLCs and funneling things this way and make sure it's structured here. It cleaned up. He presented me, like I just knew him as a colleague and a friend. We tossed some stuff back and forth, right? And he presented a couple options as far as like different ways of doing things. Like we went to lunch. I didn't know what the hell was really going on. Like I said, I'll take any lunch. I just said that. I was like, yeah, sure. What do we got going on? What do we want to talk about? And no one's business advice or whatever. And I give it as raw or as, as neutral as I can. Yeah, he came on and like we took about a year up to date, and it's always something, right? But we got it all cleaned up and restructured, and we got some cool stuff going for 24. So where it is now is like the partnerships that I've built, the relationships I've built, everything that I've done up into this point has put me in a position to run a little agency stuff. So somebody wants to book X and X artist, I can make that happen, or at least have the conversation. May not be the number you want, but we can try to figure it out, right? It's more obtainable than you think. Like Petey Pablo doing your grand entrance at your wedding to raise up, it's not that far off the ladder.
Really?
I wanted to do that.
Yeah.
So he's might be. I'll throw his name out because he's a buddy. So name drop.
Yeah.
He's anybody that's seen my IG knows we're friends.
So, what was the time frame between playing these small venues to playing in front of 22,000 people? So you started in 2008,
Mm-hmm.
and this was when?
That was 23. That was this year.
Well, you had to do it before that then.
No. So this 24 would be the fourth year. It's kind of weird because we did 2 in 1 year. Dallas was 2 in 1 year. Fort Worth. There's 4 markets now. So I travel with him and do different markets. So there's Milwaukee, Fort Worth, here. And then there's another one we haven't released. About slipped there. So anyway, so like we do this. Social House puts this on. This is their brand, Tacos and Tequila, and then I'm their house DJ. So I just want to clarify, house DJ, anything anybody needs on the stage support wise. If some rappers don't roll with their own DJs, that's how I mentioned Petey. Like he gave me a thumb drive and said, "Let's go," and I ran his set.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's how we met. He handed me a thumb drive, and he's like, "Let's go." He drove himself in, handed me the thumb drive. we went on at 5:15 and rocked for 40 minutes. Kicked it ever since. That was 4 years ago. Like that platform put me in a position to like meet a friend, which was cool.
Right.
There's only been a guy on my CDs that I played in the club back in the day.
Yeah.
So that was cool. And then all the other artists, they're super chill. Working with artists in their after, like when they're still rolling around and killing it like this, but they're in their 35s, 40s, some 50s. Pretty fun working with them.
Yeah.
It's a little more chill, a little more mellow.
Well, they've been around the block.
So, to answer your question, I just had to say a little tidbit, but to answer your question, so the assumption sometimes is this, that, and I think this is a fail in a lot of ways, but I'll just stick it like this. That's not who I am. So the 150 venues, 150 person venues, 200 person venues, 5,000, 10,000 stadiums, right? I still play the 150 person show. I played Red Room in Overland Park last Friday because I enjoy it.
Right.
It's fun.
And
And it's my brand, and I choose to, like, I got asked to, but I enjoy it because I'm in there, and there's some guys that I went to school with that don't do the clubs, and they don't go downtown. They live over there. Maybe they have kids, maybe they don't, but they don't want to deal with all that going downtown. So I'm seeing friends again that I haven't seen pre-COVID, 10 years, 15 years, that they're standing in front of me, and I'm playing East Coast, West Coast hip hop, and it's like a wholesome gig for me. It's not, yeah, I mean, it's not, I'm not showing up there to like rake a contract in. I'm there because my friend Teal bartends. We have this cool little, collab with some promo, and it's fun. I play Firefly on Sundays because I just go to bang hip hop for a while for a service industry night. but then that Saturday I could have been playing that. In fact, I did. I played that on a Saturday and I turned around and played Firefly on a Sunday. And then there are people that walk up to me and they go, "Why are you here?"
Right. That's what I would ask.
A girl asked me last Friday, Red Room. She walked in. She stood over there for a while, and I knew her, but I couldn't figure out why I knew her. Been a while. Which, like I said, that place is perfect for that. And finally, she ended up. She used to date my buddy in college. I'd probably seen her in 15 years, and she's like, maybe more. And she's like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, because I knew what she meant, but I wasn't like letting that. Like that's not how I've ever been. Like, oh, I'm above this or that or whatever. I've never been like that. There's been words that I think people like assume that they look at my socials and Instagram, and I think before they meet me, I think they do assume that, and that's why I always tell people where I'm from normally first, because then they kind of get that confused look, and I always find that funny. And then I explain kind of my mentality. Well, I always play that 100 there are like 50, 60 people there. I'm not above that. It ain't about the money. It's honestly about, there's a point when you become in your career, I believe, that it's just sometimes, yes, I love playing Aura, I love playing this, and I love playing all that, but I do enjoy also just setting up on a plastic 6-foot table and playing records that I want to hear.
Right.
I mean, there's something, it's like going to the gym, but in a music way.
Right.
You know, like that's a wholesome event to me because I know what I get, like I know what the contracts, like what I'm getting paid to do and what that brand is coming to the table. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like we're back to scaling things. It's not like somebody I'm not giving a half-ass show there. I'm playing my ass off for 4.5 hours. You know, I'm not like standing around, walking around and, you know, I'm still giving you a show. I mean, if you like at every place, I'm always going to give whatever show is needed and warranted for that venue, but keeping the integrity of what's going on there. And I'm not going to go against what they have going on, but,
right.
You know, but no, I've always been one to play those.
Do you now?
A little more particular now. If you look at my schedule for December, you won't see me. December's pretty busy, but which very fortunate on that. But I'm not. It makes, if you look, there's places I like to play, and it's not that I had things on my schedule that I didn't like to play in the past. My mentality is just different.
Yeah. Do you run your own social media?
No. So I'm glad you asked. As I touch on that. So, Sean and my buddy Zach is now, if you looked into DJs, he's DJing as well. It goes by Zealer. I think it's probably because it's Healer, so Zealer. I think it's said like that. They approached me, or we chatted probably 3 or 4 years ago, and I knew they were young. They have Oak Media, and I was like, I've never had anybody really mess with my IG. I know it could be better, you know? Yeah. So what do? You have somebody that, we're back to Eric coming on and, you know, restructuring my business. You need help. I mean, you do. You got to be able to delegate, and you got to be able to be like, I don't know how to do that. Like,
and it's tiring to have to always keep your social media updated.
It's easier just to let somebody do it.
Yeah.
So I have them on retainer. I think I was one of their first one maybe. And they ran my socials. They'll jump in a plane, go with me to Fort Worth to do tacos and tequila, or like wherever, like super cool. So he's great. Yep.
You always travel with somebody that can
try sometimes. Yeah. At least get some shots, because we can do some videos. If he can't go, I can send him some stuff. He'll chop it up and make it look, you know, better than what I would do.
Right.
So, but no, I handle, like you see me post, like, but it's a perfect marriage between him planning stuff and me just posting, you know, my daughter Monroe or us being at Union Station, like on the story.
I'm going to go on the record and say I've submitted a friend request to Ashton probably in 2010.
Oh, we're talking about Facebook.
And it's still not accepted.
I don't know how to work all that stuff.
You have to go, because you max out at 5,000. Because back in the day, here we go. Back in my day, they would ask you how many friends you had how many contacts you had in your phone, and how many Facebook friends, because that somehow translated to how many people you'd bring to the club. We all know that's not true.
That's not true.
But I have to do, it's maxed at 5,000, but then what I really like to just mess with people, I'm like, well, you can go over to my like page and hit my fan. If you want to know what I'm doing full blast, it's an Instagram.
So like I'm looking at this and I have no idea, like the only reason why I have it is because somehow my wife and I share like an iCloud. So now there's Instagram on my phone, but I pull it up and I don't know how to do anything on
So
it.
Instagram, when I first started, it was the last thing that I had social media platform that was like mine, like just me personally. Like I had guns, I had my Barrett 50 on there. I had my truck, I had my bike, sold that. Broken clavicle will do that for you.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Those are always a good idea for a while. Whatever, anything other than, I had some DJing stuff on there, but it was like me taking a photo of my record, just typical, right? Whatever. And so I didn't really, like, I kind of understood it, but I just didn't take the time. So I remember I was in Vegas playing an event like in 16 or 17. And one of my best friends, buddies, was the marketing director for MGM. And we happened to go to dinner. They went to college together. So here we are sitting in this new spot, eating some food. And he's talking to me, and I'm not trying to talk business, but he's like, so Brent says you're a DJ. I'm like, yeah. And he's like, what's your IG look like? And this was 7 years ago, probably. And I was like, man, it's not that impressive. I was like, my website. He goes, ain't nobody going to go to a website. I was like, yes, I understand that. But also I do. I mean, I had e-commerce to my website. I had it to where, I could send a link to somebody that could pay me. People still look at my website. It's still clean. But it's more for that. All it is somebody might go there, a corporate client, and might go there that isn't savvy or want to be with Instagram and go, he's legit. You know what I mean? There's testimonials there. It's cool. He'll probably bring it up. It's still super clean, especially with a laptop. It'll look better than a phone.
What's your
It's DJAshtonMartin.com.
okay.
You made a comment, and I'm curious. You talked about like how much of a grind it is to build momentum, right? And you even made the comment where you missed holidays and
Oh yeah.
and be prepared to have no days off. So elaborate,
okay,
if you would.
Yeah, I remember. So it still looks good.
Man.
I haven't been on there in a while. All right. Oh, there you go. And it has all
that
the
does look
updates.
good.
And the IG, actually, a buddy of mine works for Microsoft in Seattle. He built this out for me. So, a dude I've known forever, shout out Ermy, knocked that out for me. So and I kind of just leave that alone. We changed pictures up a little bit, but I haven't changed a whole lot. So maybe like a couple years, but just a lot of Row, some Fox 4.
Yeah.
So it's a nice mix of a little bit of everything. Okay, so a grind, the no days off. It's still me, but it just looks a little different. I've got more efficient, and again, I mentioned that I brought on another partner, and I don't know how else to really. Okay, so when I started DJing, I literally just played anything I could. I never really knocked on doors. It always conversations. I went out, I spent money I didn't have, and I shook hands, took shots, and met people. And I had a kind of a following or a known name, but they were my friends. My friends, we'd all go party together, which ended up turning out to be friend / like supporting me when I DJ. So here I am on this journey of DJing, and I get known for having a following. And that kind of turned into gigs, which, people supporting you is absolutely imperative to being able to not just DJ on the side and make a couple extra bucks and drive a dream car, like create an almost 20-year career off working for myself and building a business and building a family, having a house, being able to support that. My wife's a doctor, by the way, so it isn't just me being a hero over here.
What kind of doctor?
She's a pharmacist. So I'll elaborate on her in a minute because I'll bring it back to her. So we met in 2006, 7. We've been together 17 years. We've been married for 4. So Monroe's 3 next month. So she knows me when I don't have 2 pennies to rub together, all the way through car wrecks, brushes with death, you name it, I've done it. I'm a hard learner. I go 100 miles an hour, and she stuck by me the whole time. And that's how you're able to do that. You got to have a partner, and I'd probably be dead, to be honest. You got to have a partner, and you got to have somebody to keep you in check. Well, she attempts that. I try to, my old age, I've calmed down a bit. Try. But you have to grind. And what I see, I think the newer DJs coming up they're more efficient with their time, but I'm still I still have the grit and the grind and the passion for just wanting to execute at a high level. And it used to be me just wanting to rock parties. I wanted to rock that. Well, that's changed. Now I still go hard and I still take the calls, but it's more about curation and the collaboration and the relationships to go off that. But I still have every bit of energy I did in my 20s. I still feel just like I did when I was 25. I still get up in the morning. My days are a little different now. I'm up at 6:30, 7 o'clock, which has been since COVID, honestly, because there's nothing else to do.
It's got to be tough to be up at 6:30 and then stay up till 3.
Last night, I'll give you for instance. Last night, okay, so yesterday, wife got up at 5:30. She left the house about 6:45. I get up and take Monroe to school, which I love every single day. And I'd say 95%, unless I have something early, which sometimes corporate events are 7 a.m. load in. And then I get her from school 3 to 5 times a week, as much as I can. And but like last night, I knew Ashley was tired, and Monroe just decides that she's never been really sick, just a little snotty nose like a normal kid. But she got sick and she was throwing up. So this started about 11 o'clock. And so we slept on the couch and we threw up at about 45-minute increments all the way up until about 5:30. So that was last night. And then we got up, gave her a bath, and then got her ready for school. Talked her up a little bit. You look great. Got her ready, did her thing, and we went to school. She's fine. It was I didn't think it was just something she ate or whatever. But no, that's a typical, that could be just as easily. She's a great sleeper, but I don't really think about it. Like, people always ask me what my sleep schedule's like, and I'm not a superhero, but at the same time, I don't need a whole lot.
You don't come off as a guy who takes a lot of naps.
No, I sometimes if she
Every
this
Sunday.
This is what
nap
Monroe,
every Sunday.
This is what Monroe does when Chiefs aren't around. When Monroe's like, "Daddy, come sleep with me on bed," because we just transitioned from crib to this whole hybrid crib with a door thing. She hated it, so now she just has her canopy bed with her little starlights and a remote. So she wants me to always come in there and lay with her, which I'm totally fine. That day will be gone soon enough, so I will take advantage of that now. So yeah, we do a lot of that. But no, that's when the naps happen, when she's like, Saturday we do gym at 11 a.m. And I normally, if Ashley works Saturday day, I get about 2 hours of sleep. So when we come back and she does a nap after we eat lunch, 12:30, I'll lay down with her for about an hour. But I don't know what day it is when I wake up. It screws me up.
So
It messes me up.
So when you first started, did you go through a phase where you were participating in extracurricular activities?
Yeah, let's talk about maybe the dark side of DJ.
There you I mean, well, because I look
at
at
type A. It goes with a type A mentality. I got to be careful with that.
Yeah.
Because I'm very addictive personality, and it just has to be. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely recreational things that you can partake in that will supposedly enhance your partying ability.
Right.
And you have to be careful with that.
I mean, here, well,
I'll just straight up talk about it. So 2011, I had a car wreck, not just a car wreck, but I left the Jones Pool from downtown, May 29, 2011, about 7:15.
Jones Pool, rest in peace.
Yeah. Oh, it's still there. It's just,
Yeah, it's just not.
yeah. Yeah. So, I was heading to the point to DJ, and I ran off the road. I couldn't merge, and I flipped my Tundra 3 times. Yeah, over 3 times, end over end, hit a guardrail. I had 2 of my best friends with me. One cracked a C3. The other one broke his clavicle. I hit my windshield square, did a subdural hematoma. I went to Truman. And then that'll change you a little bit.
how'd the C3 turn out?
C3 fine. He did a halo.
You're kidding me. You know how lucky he is?
Oh, I know. So
Jiminy
we
Christmas.
partied in college, and we were lucky. We're all way different now, smarter, I like to think. But no, he's like, I think he lives in Idaho now with his girl and his kid, and they're like, he's doing very well. The other one, good buddy of mine, he's actually a chef at the American here in town.
Oh, cool.
So we're still all friends. Like, it was a very detrimental. Well, for 24 hours, I didn't know if either one of them were alive. And I don't say that lightly. Like, I really didn't know.
Right.
Because time doesn't really work. When I thought I was like, first off, I thought I was in a helicopter and I wasn't. And that was just the bumpy, they cut me out of the truck. So we ended up right side up, but they cut me out of the truck and it was such a bumpy ride. I thought I was in a helicopter. They went to KU Med. I went to Truman. And so I ended up getting the whole, like, they scalp you basically. This is crude. So anybody listening that has a soft stomach, they pull your skull cap off. They build it up like an erector set, let your brain not swell, and they put it back on. And then they drill holes in your head and they put drain tubes in, kind of predator-ish, and it captures all the runoff and the cerebral spinal. I had these hanging off my head. And then they put a pressure sensor drilled into the front of your skull. So if it goes up, it beeps at you. So if you get mad or you have a dream, like it would like beep, beep, beep. You're in so much pain. When I woke up, it felt like a baseball bat. Just it was.
What was the mechanism of the accident? What happened?
So I was merging off of Broadway, exit heading southbound on the 35, where 670 goes like this. It all kind of merges.
Yes.
And there was a yellow car in my side view mirror, and there was a white truck to my right. And that was that.
Would you say you were sober at the time?
I would say I shouldn't have been driving. So I faced, what was it? I had 4 Class C felonies. I faced 27 years. Fought that for 19 months.
That's draining.
And so it was I was building a career. It was my fault, but I was building a career while I was going to court every month. And at any given time, I was thinking, I could go to jail. Like, what is going on here? You know? So that was a little bit mental, toughening, if you will. So I'll turn this into, I ended up not going to jail, community service, paying. Community service I did was I went over on the east side off of Van Brunt, and I donated my time at East, I think. I'm not really familiar with all the high schools here. My friend was a teacher there, and that was an eye-opening experience. So that was good for me too. So I turned it as much positive as I could. And what I would say to that would be, don't drive. Yeah. But I would say, like, I was a lot reckless. And, you know, life has a way of coming in hot, if you will, and resetting that real quick. So, and it never was with my career. Like, I never was like, I always wanted to work with people. I always took the gigs. It wasn't that. I just, you know, come from a small town. You know, you're around all this. I didn't drink till I was in college.
I mean, I don't think you can go out and party like go hard and still maintain a level of performance as well as you're a fit guy.
You have to pick and choose. Yeah, I'm in the gym every day between 8 and 9, and that's always just been a part of my life. I can go through all of that, like fitness and like health. I think that's a lot of why I can run like I do and be the age I am.
Yeah, roll into it, man.
All right, so. I mean, I don't not drink. I drink when I'm a social drinker. I don't think I can count how many times I've drank at my house. I have a bar I built out for other people. I can't even tell you what's in it.
Yeah.
Dr. Pepper, because the wife likes Dr. Pepper. I don't drink soda, so I don't know. So, I mean, I'm regimented. I got to have structure. Unfortunately, my daughter's the same way. She is it's me through and through, which is, we'll have to tame that beast at some other time. Get up every morning. I love my first form stuff, greens, reds, collagen, pre-workout, get ready with Monroe, hit the gym, do my thing. Once a week for the last 2 weeks or 2 years, I've done 1,000 ml bag Myers with glutathione added IV. I found out my testosterone was at 75 4 years ago. I go on a soapbox.
Damn.
Yeah. So I've had about 10 of my friends go and have their blood work checked, and 7 out of 10 of them, their levels were under 300.
Mine was 94.
Mine was 75.
You had to feel miserable.
So I bought this. The doctor, one day I was driving on Shawnee Parkway, and I was like, I can't. It was just the thoughts that were entering my head for like but this was like 5 years ago. It was right after COVID, actually, for whatever that is. And I was like, man, this. Because I hadn't been really that busy. I kind of cleared my schedule off and gave myself time to just get to try to figure try to just kind of self-assess, like what's going on here. And I was like, man, why? It's just weird, crazy ass thoughts that are just out there and like, not necessarily like I need to run off a cliff, but they're just weird. I can't even give you an example. They're just, what are we doing here? And excuse me. So I called my buddy, asked for his doctor's number, and I said he had testicular cancer, so I knew that he was on pellets. And I'd all the rage for anybody over 40. Well, my buddies were like, yeah, you should do the pellets. And I was like, all right, cool. I was like, all right. So I called, I went down there, got my blood work done. He called me on my way back home and got me in the next day because he's like, dude, your testosterone's at 75. He's like, I don't know what you're doing or how you're alive or even functioning. He's like, but as you know, that's super low.
Oh, it's awful.
500 is like, people struggle at 300 to 500.
Yeah.
I'm over here sub 100.
I got lucky because my doctor, some of them won't even supplement you, right? And my doctor was like, at the time I was about 33, 34. Mm-hmm. And I was just like,
you couldn't fight your way out of it.
I couldn't. You
can.
I've never been a depressed person.
No, mentally I'd fire out of bed at 7, whatever time I need to, and let's go.
No energy,
Zero.
No drive, nothing as far as like any affection toward my wife.
No, that's the other thing too, is like, was just I was flatlined.
Well, and Michelle finally looked at me and said, I'm not dealing with this. Go to the doctor and figure out what's going on. Right.
Yeah.
So I go to the doctor.
You don't realize you're a lunatic.
Right.
But you are.
Yeah. Well,
either whether in your mind, I don't mean tearing things up. I mean, like, you're just flat. Things you should react to.
You're not.
Luckily, I dialed this in pre-Monroe. So, like, she never, thank God, because I was like, we were talking about having kids. I'm like, I can't be walking around like this.
Gianna
wouldn't here.
Let's see. Gianna's 12. So she was probably a baby. Mm-hmm. She might have been 1 or 2 years old. And so I go to the doctor. She gives me 400 milligrams right there on the spot.
Yeah, they're like, I don't think you can walk to your car.
She gives me a booster right there and then writes me a prescription. Mm-hmm. Literally a day and a half later, I'm like 16 again.
I want to know how you describe this. Is how I describe it to my friends. It was like turning the defrost on in my car.
It was awesome.
I go, like 4 days after that, I go, no, probably 3. I remember it got him on a Tuesday. And on Thursday, I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
I was like, this is insanity. I was like, this is what y'all feel like?
It was
awesome. I was like, all right. So every 5 months, 3 to 5. I mean, I can just tell. I'm in tune with my body. So I'm like, So
are you still doing pellets?
Yep.
Yeah.
12. I do 12 in this alternate hips.
Yeah.
Such a lean guy. Like, he's like, oh, we'll do these until I don't know where we're putting these. And so I do 12, and that's.
I just do the shot.
And I do the shot too.
Well, and you can. All the traveling,
yeah, it's tough to travel with that.
Yeah, it was just easier for me, set it and forget it. And I mean, it's a pretty simple procedure.
It takes 20, 30 minutes. Yeah.
And then you just.
I've had them.
Yeah, I'm thinking. Yeah. So you sound like you've had them.
Yeah.
Most people know. I mean, I wouldn't you can't show people a video and then promote it.
Right.
So why?
Well, Michelle takes it too, and she got. She did the pellets. We were both doing the pellets.
Once you sign up for that, though, they ain't going back. That's
the problem was she got cystic acne real bad.
Oh,
I didn't, and so we needed to figure out a way to control her dose a little bit better. So it was just easier to do injections. So we both just did that.
No, totally. And it's nice to have that. Like, I have a cup. Like, if you have a dry, I could just call and be like, hey, can I get a booster or whatever? That's no problem. It's not that needles or shots. Like I said, I get the IVs every week.
I don't even feel it anymore.
No. It's and there'll be a point when I probably scar tissue when they're using a trocar and dropping 5 or 6. They do 4 lanes of 3 or 3 lanes of 4, and it's just you're fanning them out, and you just you put them in. It's just like you're laying like these little pellet pipes under your skin, subcute. It's like you can only do that so many times probably on a guy that's. I'm pretty lean, so you're not going to be putting them in my stomach. Some guys do put them here, and I'm like, we're not doing that.
No,
I'm not doing tracks.
Well, you could just go to an injection.
Yeah, I will.
Here now they got sub Q, so it's just
sub Q sick. Yeah.
It's just it's much easier. You don't have to do the intermuscular.
Well, I don't overdo all of the health and wellness. Like, I get a little dysport in my head because I don't like sunglasses, and I end up wrinkling and stuff. So I do a little light there. Other than that, I use some nice face products. Some nice serums and stuff once or twice a day, and then try to eat right. We're good to go.
Yeah, when you're in front of people, as much as you are,
Yeah, man. I mean, I've always
part of
wanted to look good, feel good. I mean, everybody, I feel like that should
Well,
be.
look, these health spas aren't making money hand over fist for nothing. Let's face it. Okay?
Yeah.
So,
And 100%.
trust me, you're not the only dude that gets
both.
Botox.
Yeah.
No, and
you're
that's no, not at all. And that's why I also that's why I have the partnerships with like Aesthetic Care and Evolution Health, where I get my pellets that they have. I do the God, I'll tell you, microneedling. That is awesome.
Does that hurt?
I mean, so I'll take you through it. So yeah, I mean a little bit.
Then I'm out.
It depends on what you. The more it stings, they call it spicy. The more you get it. Okay, so I have a video on my IG doing it. I think pretty sure, but you've seen it. It just stamps. It goes real slow. But this has the little electrolysis or the electrode that goes out. So it's like stimulating the collagen and like so as deep as you can handle it.
Yeah, but my wife came home, her face was all red.
Oh no, I've got it on a Wednesday and worked that night. Nobody said a word. It might look like you got sunburnt, but like now there is one that like what is like a vampire facial. I mean, you can get the one where they're like scraping top layers off and silence. And that's different.
God,
But
no way.
dude. Like a month later, you're like glowing. But I mean, if you do an IV and some glutathione, and then you go, then you do photos the next day, you're gonna be glowing anyway.
What's glutathione?
Oh, dude,
You can go get it at the vitamin. That's right up the street.
Liquid.
IV nutrition.
Too. Yeah, you can do it too.
Yeah, IV
I just
nutrition.
haven't added to my IV.
Yeah. Okay.
Go to IV nutrition. They do it.
I've never done the.
You could also do it after like a real bad hangover. Just go get like a
Or
You need to be there Sunday, didn't you?
Or Toradol.
Yeah.
Toradol.
That'll get
They
you going.
they don't do that anymore though. They're not allowed to give you the Toradol, are they? Can they really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like IV I have has Toradol.
That's
I
freaking
don't get
great.
it every time, but
Well, no, that's an anti-inflammatory.
Oh,
That
it's pretty
helps
sweet.
with everything.
Yeah. So like, say you had a little bit of a headache, they're gone. I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty,
awesome.
Pretty slick. Yeah, it's pretty slick.
Oh man, I need
Definitely
to.
not an abuser, but like if you have a headache, then
Well,
I
it's
feel
not like
there's-
you're not going to
what are you
feel
gonna
anything.
do? Yeah, you're not getting high on Toradol. I mean,
No.
maybe, I don't know. I haven't looked into it that.
No, it's just it's
It's a nice way to offer it because, like, and another thing I'll say about IVs too, my wife's all like, "You're gonna get an embolism and don't get it." I'm like, I'm fine, but she just hates on my health and wellness sometimes. What is all this? I'm like, it's
well. Why would it cause a PE? Why would it cause that?
well. Anytime you're going into a vein, like of course, but anytime I go, my counter was, well, we drive cars every day. I feel like that's a pretty.
What's more
argument for
dangerous
me.
than that?
Like,
I
come
mean,
on, man. Everybody's on their phone driving down the highway at 75. You're telling me my IV sitting still on the couch? Come on, babe. No, we're good. Like, get that Toradol.
So which one do you go to? Do they have it at IV Nutrition?
No, so Lux Wellness is a good friend of mine, Shannon. She started her own company, and that's how. Well, it actually started at Drip Bar with a good friend of mine from back in the day. And
I'll go right now for some Toradol.
That drip.
Lux Wellness, I'm taking a note.
Well, Lux Wellness, I have a partnership with them.
Put it in my phone.
And,
Yeah.
like I said, I just like to see businesses, like, especially friends, you want to support your friends. Well, it turned into like, I went and I had another partnership with a Drip Bar in Lee Summit, but that drive was brutal. But they come to my house. So every Thursday at 8 a.m., and you can go right off their bio, go to their bio and you can select your nurse, whatever. They're all cool. Most of their nurses that come out are like ER nurses. So like you sitting still on the couch and you hitting your vein. If anybody's worried about that, don't be, because it's like laughable to them to
Oh, it's mobile.
no, they come to your house. Like literally, I leave my garage door open at 8 o'clock in the morning. And they come give me an IV.
No shit.
Every Thursday.
Badass.
So think about this. Think about this. You're going to like,
Oh, you're pulling it up there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, well, you could have gave me a
Shannon.
heads up.
Well, Frank.
so that's Shannon right there. Good friend. She's been killing it. Like, it's pretty cool. So
Lux?
VIP clients I have coming into town that want to I have them all tied in. Like a lot of them where they know that they're, for instance, like a lot of people think you get hammered and then the next day you get your IV. No.
Get your IV first.
Front load.
Yeah.
You don't get drunk, then eat. Well, I guess some do. You have a nice meal, then you know what I mean?
Then you drink.
Yeah, come on, be a professional.
Yeah, have some respect for yourself.
yeah,
Get
come
the
on,
IV
come
first.
Come
So,
on. And in the summertime, think about me doing 15 shows or being outside 100 degrees. They'll meet me in a parking lot. I've got these in DJ booths. Like I legitimately
how
came
long
to the
does it
club.
take to infuse?
For me,
Yeah.
25 minutes, 20. My body just
takes
they're
it.
gone. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are probably both vascular. You mean you guys work out, you're fit. Yeah, it'd be quick. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, probably, but
I bet they'll come by the fire station too.
oh,
Yeah.
the group, dude, I'm telling you, those 90, especially y'all in the fire stations with your full,
Yeah.
yeah, it really is that game changing for me. Like 100%. Like you don't, like people really underestimate how dehydrated they walk around daily.
Oh, I'm guaranteed it.
1,000%.
Yeah.
And you can chug all the water you want. That's cool. You should sip water. You should drink water. Good for you. Flavor it if you need to. I do because water does get boring. But what you're really going to just main vein that and get on down the road.
Yeah.
What's it typically cost for, you know?
I don't know. It depends on what you add. It's all customized. So they have
Right.
one like if you're flu sick and struggling, dude, how great is it you're laying and dying at your house like with the flu hypothetically, and you're like, hey, and they come over and toward all and hit you with a bag, and you're like, let's go. I mean,
that's
the
great.
difference from like, yeah, I think it's pretty slick being able to come to your house. Or anywhere. Like I sometimes lead it where I know like that day, the third gig I have is going to be, I'm going to have a 40-minute window before I walk in and play this pool party. Right in my truck. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you hold the thing above your head,
It goes faster.
way quicker.
Yeah.
I tied it to the top of a gazebo once.
Yeah.
Like 15 minutes. I got it. That was pretty, I felt my eyes it came in pretty quick.
I did that when I was
Came in
on,
pretty quick.
I was on vancomycin and it took like 3 hours to infuse. So I grabbed it and I
I was like, this
stuck
is
it
way
up
too long.
way high. And I ended up infusing it in like 30 minutes. Got, it's called Red Man syndrome.
Oh yeah.
So it was, and then I ended up in the hospital because you're not supposed to infuse it too fast, but I didn't know that.
If the drip was probably intentionally 3 and you did it in 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I had to do it 3 times a day. I'm like, I can't sit here for 9 hours.
Oh,
you know, it was awful. It was awful.
Once you get to the place where you can give yourself an IV, that's when you're next
See,
level.
I can give myself shots.
No,
veins.
when you got the pick line up here,
Yeah.
You
can't-
got to go in your hand.
It doesn't matter. How are you going to use the other hand to screw the thing in?
You squeeze it off, you tie it off right here, and I've seen guys do it.
Oh no, I've seen them do it too. Yeah, you
it's-
ain't seen me do it.
Yeah,
IV yourself.
IV, but once you screw on
I would
the
have a better chance of doing this, but the new ones you just flick it to the side and pull out. It goes click click.
yeah,
Well, the expensive ones, they go in and then they click this thing and pull it down, and like it pulls right back. It's like
that's
it
the one
flicks
with you
and
at the fire
locks.
department.
Those they lock or something.
Yeah.
'Cause they ran out of those and they had this other one. I was like, that one's not as good. She's like, these suck. I'm like, yeah, it's only happened once. That was because I chose. I'm like, I'll just go with it because the other ones are like a little more money or whatever, but they're like slick click.
Yeah.
That's actually a brilliant idea.
It is a brilliant idea.
But you know, I gotta think they have to, like the amount of patients they could see in a day. I mean,
you
a
could
full.
you could turn and burn. I mean, let's say you minimum. I mean, you're only doing they allot an hour, and they're all like the bedside manner is all like it's great. I mean, they're coming into your home.
So they could do about 8 a day per person.
Yeah. So you say yeah, and then they all like most of them. I think, like I said, have ER. They're working at ER. One of them or a couple of them are like Truman. One of them's KU.
Oh yeah.
So they're seeing some wild stuff, and then like me sitting on my couch with a
day off.
with a garden hose vein is like a joke for them. And then they get to sit here and talk to Monroe or like whatever. We just hang out. I've got to know every one of them.
And then they don't have any brick and mortar. They don't have to deal with
No,
any of that
I think
bullshit.
actually, I think she's actually going to get it because there are people that are like, she's finding people hitting her up, and it's enough to the point I think where it's worth it now to get a brick and mortar.
Yeah, good.
You only need something.
1,000
Yeah.
square feet,
What do you
1,200
need?
square
Yeah,
feet.
Nothing.
You don't need a lot.
A bathroom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
A
bathroom.
couple chairs and the recliners like this.
Yep.
Yeah.
When you go into IV nutrition, it just looks like chairs like this.
No. Yeah. You want it. You want a little bougie.
But
That's what you're going
I'd
for.
much rather them come to my house.
Some people don't like. Some
that's
people
a
are
game
weird. I
changer.
mean,
They don't want
not
people in
weird.
their
They
house.
just don't want people in their house, man. That,
Yeah, there's some people that are like, I personally don't care. I don't want to ever leave.
Well,
ever.
Here, I've been in a lot of people's houses, being on the fire department, and a lot of sick folks. And I'll tell you what, some people just, they don't keep up with shit. So a lot of people probably don't want people in their
That's what I mean by it. It's more about
Yeah.
they feel like they would have to clean up,
house. They should.
or they just want to use it as an excuse to get out of the house. Whatever,
Yeah.
whatever it is, they're going to have it all covered, and it's cool. And there's other ones in the city, of course, but I mean, I have no reason to ever think any different. I mean, they come to my house. They know. I mean, I know every one of them. She's on board enough. They're all cool.
What's their range? How far north will they go?
I mean, I think
Like, can I get someone over here in about 20 minutes?
I mean, I don't know where they're all driving from, but I think you could probably, I'd have put in a favor. But I mean, if there was somebody,
I got to think they space them out.
they do. No, they do. I'm saying it just all depends on like where. I'm sure it's in this area. Just maybe there's a travel charge. I don't know if there is or isn't. I don't know. I doubt it. I don't know.
I mean, you ain't getting them in there for under $200. There's no shot it's cheaper than that.
No, I mean, it's an investment, but like, I know people, I mean, my thing is this is like that people, not that you were, but they're like, I don't know, man. It's just like a lot of money. And I'm like, so let's order 5 bombs at the bar at $10 a pop.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
That it's a fun time. We all like to get loose. Sure. But like, I've always been, so I'll go way back to the beginning. So my grandma owned the bar and grill. She burnt me on the neck with a cigarette because she used to smoke. She stopped smoking, made her bar no smoking, then ended her duration after 12 years of the bar, and then opened a health food store in Burlington, where I went to high school. So I used to work there, and I got to learn all about, I mean, I think she got me a bottle of creatine when I was 12. So like she was reading up on all kinds of stuff because she knew I was athletic, cared about, like I was drinking greens when I was 6, 7 years old. I knew how to go into the herb cabinet and grab things for the basic common cold. The echinacea, I knew to up my vitamin C if I had allergies, and then you snot and sneeze for a day and it would deplete it. So health and wellness has always been a part of my life. So that's why once you can have the budget to do things like this, I think investing in yourself.
What do you think about that?
Smart.
What do you think about those cold plunge pools?
Okay, so I work out at Cheese Fit on the Plaza, and they have the cryo. I'm all about that. I mean, all the science makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's some people that think it's fatty, but like FAD, a little fat-ish.
Yeah.
But it's I mean, I think I'm all for anything to build mental toughness.
Yeah.
These days, so I don't give a damn what it is.
Yeah.
Because I think that's lacking in a lot of areas. So if you get the health benefits and you get to build some mental strength so you don't break down, I think you should go do it.
Yeah.
But I like the cryo because in the wintertime, it's going to be cold. It's kind of a thing. You know, you got to get cold, whatever. I could roll to Woodside, I guess, and use their cold plunge. I used to do that before it was a thing, kind of. But
Yeah.
the cryo is cool. I just pick Mount Everest. I put my ear things on. I walk in, shirt off, leave my shoes on, and it's 3.5 minutes. And it's like,
And you're in and out.
and you're in and out. And then I normally do it at the end of my workout. And I feel like I do that once or twice a week.
Yeah.
A lot, like 10 minutes on the end of my workout.
I did the cold plunge and 37-degree water, and 6 minutes about the longest I could last.
You got to talk to yourself.
Yeah, you do. You got to really
start going to different places.
Yeah, you got to embrace the suck.
Like for me,
Then you're numb.
I don't even think
Yeah.
people realize it. It's like if you physically don't feel good, to me, it's impossible to mentally feel good.
100%.
So like
100%.
what price would you pay to feel good physically? There's not much I wouldn't do.
There's not much I wouldn't
I
do
agree.
either. I mean, there really isn't. And if I had something, anytime I've ever hurt myself, broke this or that or the other, I've always dove straight in to get the fastest recovery. What do I need to do?
Right.
That's how you learn, or your friend's sick and you want to know, or not sick, or you just want to know how to, like, my back hurts. What do I need to be doing? Or my knees start hurting. Okay, I need a joint support.
Yeah. I mean, because like I've had 10 orthopedic surgeries. So it's like,
So you're no stranger to recovery.
no, I'm a physical
Inflammation.
therapist
Yeah.
by trade.
That's
So
what I thought you were. Yeah.
yeah. So it's like, what the hell? I'm miserable when I get injured. I get knocked off my routine.
No, when there's no routine, mentally I'm shot.
You're a wreck.
Shot. I'm like, Jesus, what am I going to, I guess I'll just go to the gym for the mental because I can't do anything here.
Can't do anything.
I totally.
Awful. And then your sleep wake patterns go to shit. Your sex drive goes to shit.
Everything's just, then you just feel like you look like shit. And then you're just,
And you probably haven't changed at all, but you
not
just
one
feel
bit,
like
but mentally you're like, this is bullshit.
This is gross.
It's like, what did I saw a meme the other day? It's like when you take 7 days off from the gym, what you think you look like. And it's like this little deflated little stick man. And then it's the same image. And it's like what you really look like, the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we all know it takes time to move the needle.
But it's
But mentally, it's a mental.
it has nothing to do with like it's just about the process. right? Like when I first, because I had my shoulder operated on last December, and let's see, I was out for 8 weeks. And so I go back to the gym. I'm just working on like range of motion,
You're just doing simple
things. I'm doing the elliptical, but mentally I felt 100 times better because it was progressive.
because you walked into the gym,
Right.
you did something,
It
you
was
left.
it was progressive. It was something that I wasn't able to do yesterday, right?
Yeah.
And I could see it, and so I was like, okay, this mentally it's good for my soul. Versus
Some people get that, some people don't. Like, and I think that's
people who are sedentary do not get it.
Well, and also I'll try to see if I don't remember how exactly it was worded. I'll try. It was more of let's see. When you mature in the gym, it's less about lifting the heavy weights and the ego. It's more about you're going for the mental, and you can't really get the you can't really tell the difference between if you're going for the mental. You can't differentiate between the mental and the physical anymore.
It's 100% mental for
It's
me.
for me anymore. Like, yeah, I mean, I've been about the same, about 188 pounds, about 6 and 7% body fat. That's what I've been. My strength stays about the same. I'm not in pain. I feel good. I'm working on my flexibility. That's everything, because when it's gone, everything's gone. And basically, I'm basing it off of what I saw growing up in a small little town. Is you're fat and happy, then you have a heart attack and you die. It's literally what it was.
Right.
And, you know what I mean? Like this is what it was. Or I watched my family members have an active lifestyle, manual labor, doing this, doing that. And then as you work your way up the ladder, you get into management. What are you sitting at? A desk. Well, if you don't change your diet and you don't offset it with going to a gym, which is not very prominent in a small rural area, right? So then you put on the weight, then the health problems come on. Now you're diabetic. Now you have your joint problems. Now my knees hurt. Well, your knees hurt because you weigh 75 or whatever it is, right? And I'm not picking on family or friends or whatever. Just that mentality is something I wanted to break out of for my family.
Well, here I agree. Look, our whole family's diabetic.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, my grandpa, I watched almost every single grandpa is either, it was heart attacks is the first thing I understood as a little kid of what took grandparents' lives. It's heart attack. We'll come to find out it could have been, just what they had, but at the same time, no, probably not. If I look at them in photos, I can tell you what it was.
Right.
And I know exactly what it
it
was.
was obesity.
Yes, it was. Yes,
Right.
it was diabetic type 2 onset, but an adult. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's our dad. Our dad was
Yeah.
64 years old. He had a heart attack.
Yeah, I think my dad's dad. Okay, so I think he was sick. No, he was 60 because he died on my 13th birthday.
Yeah.
So he was 60.
That's young.
That's way young.
Yeah.
My mom's mom and dad died when they were 6 months apart, 73, which to me is still, we're messing around with the guy that didn't wear a mask and knocked asbestos buildings down in the middle of Kansas City. So he knew, I mean, there's things he probably should have done in the 70s or whatever, but mesothelioma, lung cancer, they all smoked. They all smoke. I mean, they all want to be James Dean. I mean, that's what, white t-shirt, cigarette rolled up in a sleeve, like cool dude, hair slicked back. That's what that was. But I just felt like there was a better way than that. And, I think every generation should be better. Like that's the whole idea.
Yeah.
Well, the science is finally giving people an opportunity.
It is. And people are getting better.
Yeah.
Well, but you also have look at this technology. We could get online right now and we could probably find anything we want.
You can when
Good or bad.
you tell somebody that isn't hip on stuff, good or bad.
Yeah.
And you tell somebody back home, I can not even talk to somebody and book an IV to my house. People associate IVs with going to the doctor bad.
Right.
No,
I think it was an old school mentality. They did think the doctor was better.
Hold on. If Dad would have went to the doctor, he probably would still be here. I mean,
what's this? I don't know if is it a money thing?
No, it's not a money thing.
It's not because I've heard that. And I think that's bullshit.
It's not a money thing.
It's a pride.
It's a pride thing.
Having another man telling you that you're weak, but really, dude, all I'm trying to tell you is we have treatment for this. It doesn't cost that much money, and maybe you can live another 10 years.
Right. Well, but the other thing is, Dad didn't want even himself didn't want to know what was wrong.
Yeah.
He'd rather
So
just
once you get past that point, that's like I'm gonna hit it on that. That's I feel like that's every generation, and we buried them all.
Yeah.
because I'm the exact
I'm
opposite.
like, I literally found out about I had like this little thing removed. This is like new from last week. I found this little from the testosterone. I had this little bump behind my like nipple, and I was like, okay, what's this? And I just started hitting people immediately. Within 24 hours, I had a breast cancer surgeon or a breast surgeon. And then here I am as a dude rolling into a breast center, rolling in at 7 a.m., getting things cut out. Took 16 minutes. I'm like, cool. See you later.
Yeah.
Like, what am I going to sit around and maybe think that's going to be cancer? No,
Yeah.
you send that shit to path. Either I'm doing it or you're doing it.
Yeah.
You're going to fix what I'm going to do or no.
Yeah, no, here, I
Just real as hell. And they can read that on you real quick. You notice like the doctors you talk to them, and I'm just like, I'm going to spare all this for you. I'm real to the point. Like, just I
Get it out.
Let's go.
Just
And
get it out.
She signs my left side. She's like, "You're pretty funny." I go, "We'll see you in a little bit."
yeah.
I enjoy it. Like, but I don't want to wait. And you know, like I said, I have a perspective changes, and that full circle comes back around to the decisions I make with business. You know, like. My business partner is expecting a second child. We're going to do one and done. And then she's 3 next month. So being able to take care of yourselves and okay. So the math is this: Monroe's 21 and I'll be 57. I don't want to feel 57. I don't feel 39. So you know what I mean? When you start talking like that, that doesn't sound old to me. Well, when you get older, the older doesn't sound older. That's what it is. Right?
I mean, so
when I'm 50, 60 won't sound old. So
twins will be 21.
oh, you got twins. Oh, man.
Well, they're the youngest. So
Okay,
the
gotcha.
twins
What did
will
you have? So 4?
Five.
5?
So the twins will be 21.
6 if you're counting as Ross. But
Sick. I should. You know, my kids always correct me on that.
So you have a 20. So you have a 21. Okay, wow.
No, so no. So the range of all of them would be 28, 26, 24, 12, 10-year-old twins.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yes.
That's a cool spread.
Well, Michelle, we have
Right.
his, mine, and ours.
Okay, got
So
it.
I had one that would be 28. Michelle had 2 from a previous marriage. That's 26, 24.
Cool.
Then we have the 3. Gianna's 12, and then the twins are 10.
I just look at how cool that Thanksgivings and like Easters and Christmases are going to be. Like that's a solid family.
Oh, yeah. Well, then we
That's
also
cool.
got,
Yeah.
you
got the
nieces,
right,
nephews, all
sure.
that. Yeah, I mean, here we had, and you weren't even here on Thanksgiving, but
No,
we
I was
had,
at the-
you were at the station.
No, I was
you were in
at-
Kansas.
I was in Kansas.
We had like 25 people over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
See,
big holidays.
Hosting things is just so much fun.
It's awesome.
It's cool.
I don't
And-
do anything. My poor wife, I feel terrible for her.
Well, this is what Ashley gets. She's like, "You're going to invite people over." Then I'm like, "Oh, it'll be fine." Yeah, it'll be fine.
Oh, here,
Fine.
she's frantically just,
I'm like, it doesn't have to be perfect. These people, we've known them our whole life.
it's my mom.
It's like, who are we trying to impress? Like, no, and that's the thing for me. It's like, I just need them. If you invite people over, not even strategically, just friends, family, whatever, because we just have people over occasionally. I'm centrally I'm right in Shawnee Parkway, Rainbow, Mission Woods area. So it's super easy for all our friends. So people stop by all the time and I love that. And it's part of why we picked that location. But it's funny. If you pick, people just kind of all of a sudden things just start getting done and trash is getting taken out because we all take care of our own shit at our other houses. Like I don't go to somebody else's house and let shit stack up. I'm like, hey man, how can I help? You know what I mean? Like, so she's always like, yeah, you're gonna have people over and I'm gonna be in the kitchen. I'm like, or we'll all stand in the kitchen because you know what everybody does. All 25 of your people probably were in the kitchen at one point because that's just how it goes.
Yeah,
like cows just grazing.
Just grazing. Yeah, you're just hovering. I'm like, when's that lasagna done? No, but it's I hosting and seeing people come together is fun.
Well,
it's
and-
like what I've made a living at doing, and it's been fun.
And then she gives you you're going to wear that? Well, that's why I'm having it at my house.
Yeah, I want to wear my slippers.
Because I want to wear slippers and sweats.
You walk into my house and you're like, bro, put some clothes on. I'm like, you're in my home. You're in my bathroom. You're in my bathroom. Yeah, that's what happens in a room where my closet is.
Yeah, if it was up to me, I would host all of them.
Oh, and I'm the same way. Like our family went through some weird stuff because of when my grandma and grandpa, they were the staple in Westphalia, so we would all go to their house. So I tried to make it to where some people would come over for different parts of the seasons. Like, the family would come up for maybe the Plaza Lighting or something. Cause I'm so located like right there. You know what I mean? It kills me. Cause it's, they want to come to the city, but then they don't want to come to the city. So it's kind of one of those, but we end up back in Osawatomie. My wife's mom, they have a nice house and some land down there. So we end up down there with the cousins. So it's cool. This one was what, on a Thursday. It's always a Thursday,
Yeah.
I was trying to think when would we go down there because I meant that because sometimes Christmas for us is in February or whenever anybody can get together.
Right.
So,
well, and you mentioned that, like, you know.
oh yeah, you said the sacrifice thing. Let me go back on that real quick. You said the sacrifice thing. This is like an hour ago, but I wanted to talk about this. So you have to chop this however you want it. So sacrifice with this. So my wife and I never knew what it was like for me to be home for Christmas or New Year's or anything that a DJ or entertainment would be needed for. So we learned way on, she maybe it was important to her for it at first, but then it ended up not being important because it just kind of was what it was. But like she just knew that the holidays were pretty solid paydays, you know, for a DJ, you know, Blackout Wednesday, you know, that kind of thing. So Thanksgiving, I mean, people, you know, a little different after COVID, but like people would rage, you know? So that would be I mean, I missed Thanksgivings back at my grandma that I would call her and she understood, she owned businesses. So I would explain to her that I need to be back for this. It's a good decision business wise. And I would always call her. She's like, okay, I understand. And then I would come back and see him. But I knew she understood the sacrifice I had to make, and so did Ashley. But at the same time, you can't get those back. So I know what it's like now that I want my family in my room where I can see them on those holidays, whatever date it may be. Create your own date.
I was really impressed by it. That's why I was pulling this up to read it, because it said, be prepared for no days off. Sacrifice. Holidays are when you can get together, not an actual date.
Yeah, see, I wrote that way better than I said it. So create your own date. I always thought I was on the fly better. Maybe I'm not. So no, and that's what it is. It's when can we all get together? And if people can, and it's no pressure or personal thing. Like if you can make it, you can make it. If you can't, you can't. You know what I mean? Like it's not. Monroe and Ashley and I could sit at our house for the next 3 holidays and say we wanted time for us, and that would be okay with the family. Now they would want us to all come down, and we're not going to do that. But I'm saying we could do that, and what we've kind of the tone that's set with the whole family is, you know, she has a sister in Seattle. Those aren't cheap flights, you know. And then, but it's pretty simple for us because they live in Osawatomie. We're in Kansas City. One brother lives here. And the other brother lives in Lawrence with his wife and kid. So it's like, it's a pretty solid little group of people. And then the aunt comes down from Iowa. So our family can, you know, my mom lives on 87th Metcalf. So we could make it happen pretty quick without a bunch of flights. But sometimes you can't make it. But yeah, it's the sacrifice there. And sacrifice comes in all kinds of ways. But for me, I just realized that it wasn't even a question. These are the things I had to do. And I've heard it put differently over the years, but you have to be so obsessed at doing what you want to do and so passionate that you have to be selfish with it a little bit or a lot of it. And you have to just realize that you don't get to go to those things. You don't. Like my dad wasn't at every Christmas. He had to work an outage, or he had to work, 312s. My mom had to work on the floor for being a nurse. Like that's just life. You know what I mean? If I knew I wanted this career to go, and you have to sacrifice and you have to drive hard. You don't get, there's a lot of entertainers and things that I see coming up that it's not this, it's the generation. It's a generation that is just different than our generation. Like, I just think they view work different, and they are traveling more, which I think is super cool. Yeah. That is super cool. I'm doing my traveling now and wait until Monroe's old enough and then we'll travel more. But yeah, I don't know. It's a different kind of sacrifice. Some see it, some don't, and you can tell about somebody real quick. You're like, oh, because everybody's work ethic is different, and it's relative to like what I had to. The hardest part about managing other DJs or booking other DJs or even working with them or collaborating or whatever, a workload, what somebody considers a heavy workload. Your workload is different than my workload. I'd be willing to bet I know both of you can work your ass off and do it with a smile and get the shit done and move on. I can just tell, but there's others that maybe 3 gigs a week is like as much as they can handle. Bandwidth's over. I know I can handle X amount. So like learning what somebody's saying, I'm busy, and because you're not really that busy, in my opinion, if you're single and don't have kids, because you're just your time management is going to change if you start putting other stuff in there, because you can get a lot of shit done in 2 hours.
Well, the thing is are you
things just changed?
Well,
are you being productive?
Are you busy or are you being productive?
So there's busy and productive, and if you
Very
don't know the
different.
difference,
Yeah.
dude, I can get busy doing all kinds of stupid
get nothing
shit.
done.
Yeah. Zero. So double your pre-workout one day, and then go in the garage. And next thing you know, the whole goddamn garage is out on the front lawn, and I've reorganized it and painted a wall for no reason.
Yeah.
Been there, done that, and that's busy. That wasn't productive. No. Like did nothing.
Your wife may have thought it was.
She was like, no, she's like, what did you do today? Oh, I just put the left on the right and the right on the left. Cool.
I remember when I opened up core physical therapy and specialized home care, both times there was this period of time where I would come home, I was exhausted, I was doing shit all day long, and Michelle would be like, what'd you do today? And I'm like,
couldn't tell one thing.
I really don't know.
Well, the driving, the commuting will roll you.
Yeah.
You feel like, I think, here's another thing I've noticed is like, say somebody has 5 places they need to be that day, or you have a haircut, you have an errand, you have the gym, you have 3 walkthroughs and 2 meetings and whatever. If you're not good at logistics and how to structure that, that is going to take you 10 hours.
Right.
Or it could take you 3.5 that quick.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I just think and this is just this has been going on forever. We're just sitting here talking about it, is that there's busy and then there's efficiency, and it's just, I've learned to know it doesn't really come with an age either. I've just learned to understand how each individual, like you can read an individual and like what they consider busy. And that's totally cool. I just need to know how much I can lay on you before you freak out.
Yeah.
And you can't handle it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So where's that line? Where's that threshold? So,
You know, for being a DJ, like the social aspect of it can be exhausting, I imagine. Like
The mental-
you gotta be the right person, because like you can DJ 7 days a week, you know,
oh, sure. Yeah.
but you gotta, and you're probably great with names. Like
No, I'm not. Tell me you were joking there, because I am
I was
awful.
joking. Yeah.
I'm too. I'm terrible.
I'm terrible.
Your face, like I can meet you in an airport on a layover, see you in 10 years, and I could probably tell you where I met you in another 10 years. But
I could ask you your name, shake your hand,
Forget
and
it.
forget it 2 seconds later.
completely forget it. In the same breath, I'm saying nice to meet you.
Right.
I've already said it. It bounced off my face, and because I'm looking at other things. I'm scanning the person, and I'm trying to hear. I don't know what I'm doing, but I ain't listening to their damn name. But I mean, I've had a lot of good conversations with people that I don't know their names. And here's the best part. I have no shame in looking dead at somebody and being like, I don't know your name. And here's why. Some of my good friends that are my good friends now, for the first 5 years I knew them, I didn't know their name because they were just coming to bars and partying. I knew where to find them.
Yeah.
I didn't have their number.
Right.
Am I writing you a check? Like, I mean, maybe, but like, I don't know, like the Christmas card, like I know, or I don't know. But then, you get older, your circle kind of shrinks. It does drastically, but I mean, no, I'm not good at names, like at all.
Terrible.
But the social aspect, is that
draining?
taxing on you?
Yeah, there's certain, depends on who you talk to. I think there's DJs out there and people in general that would probably think that I've like, I've came across maybe rude or cold or maybe something like that. But all it is me really trying to protect my energy and build walls so I have energy left for my family.
It's gotta be
It doesn't mean outright like rude and like just light somebody up. I mean, people do that, and I do pop back sometimes, but it is what it is. But it isn't that I'm cold or I'm upset or it should be taken personal. I've ran into people that did the same thing to me, and I didn't walk off thinking, I thought we were closer than that. I thought, all right, they're in a different spot of their life. It wasn't personal to me.
Right.
And if you really think about it, were we really close, or did we take shots for 10 years at a bar?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's
Right.
For me, that's different levels. Have you been to my home? Like, I mean, there's been a lot of people to my home, but like, have you why are you mad about this? Like, it's not something personal. So I think if it's the feedback I've gotten through a few, couple birdies, which whatever told me, I guess if you'd say through the grapevine, is that, like well, you're not as social. No, I'm just as social. I'm just not as social with you. It isn't that I don't like you. It isn't that it's for personal. It's like I could think of 10 people if I really looked at it that haven't hit me up in forever. I don't think they hate me. I don't think they're just at a different part of their life. They disappeared. Their job wasn't going out taking shots. They probably got a girl, started a family, moved, took another job. I don't know. Maybe, you know what I'm saying? Like if I don't see you for a while when I'm playing, that's probably a good thing. If you're not making money in the nightlife.
Yeah.
And then one thing I lead with, they're like, dude, sorry I've been out. I'm like, don't apologize for not being out. I'm getting paid to promote and throw a party thing.
Right. If you weren't doing that, you wouldn't be out either.
I literally, my next sentence is, and it sounds really arrogant and shitty, but if I wasn't getting paid, I probably wouldn't be here, which is kind of true, but kind of not. Because if I'm off 11, 12 o'clock, I'll make my rounds and shake hands and say hello. Not because I think I'm going to get something out of it, because I truly want to say hello and it's on my way home.
Yeah.
You know? And I still have my late nights. You know, I'm more strategic with them because I've got that 7 o'clock, you know, Monroe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dad, get up. All the lights on.
Right.
So it isn't personal thing. I guess what I'm trying to say is like, I guess be aware if people are wanting to listen to something, it's like be aware, because I think don't take it so personal. Like if you just be aware. There's a lot of people in 24 I'm not going to work with. And it has nothing. I did a really big inventory this last year of the things, took notes, mental notes and physical notes of things that pissed me off, that like just irritated me. And I'm like, I don't want to feel like that. And so I just kind of like nicely started sliding away from that. It could be a person, it could be a venue, it could be anything. And my goal I started this about February, and I said by December of this year, we're here, that starting 24, I was going to trim all the fat, and I was going to be able to go into 24 with a clear head. And that's kind of what I did. And again, it goes back to not personal. And it isn't that I don't call a lot of, I mean, I check on people and text on people, right? I like to think I'm a good friend, but I try to be. But dude, it was getting to be too much.
Yeah.
Off what you were saying, I was just getting real, I was getting just not thrilled.
Yeah.
If you want to put it that way.
Yeah.
And maybe it's, you know, you get older or not, whatever, I don't know. I think it's just, you know, there's things I want to do with my career. There's things I'm focused on. And then if it doesn't bring me joy, and I'm not excited to do it, I think it's actually doing the place or the spot or the person an injustice to be a part of it.
Yeah.
So it's actually quite opposite of what people would think.
Well, and you're at a point in your career at this point where you could kind of pick and choose what you want to do.
Well, and I can put other people in positions to win and be like, so what do I gain out of doing this gig when I could put this 25-year-old on here and he needs to be in front of these people? It's not that I'm too good. He's going to get more out of that gig than I will.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
You know, ideally, you know, so you're right. You can pick and choose.
You get to pick and choose.
Yeah. But my job now is on the phone, client facing. I love that. I love getting with a client and curating and producing and making the show and bring all the resources in that we've made this nice collective and collaborative effort of, you know, these other companies, you know, the Lost Waxes with Chris Davis of the world, and bringing the violin with the DJ, our whole collective, you know, concept, you know, just doing cool stuff.
Yeah, if you haven't seen him play with a band or a drummer, it's
cool.
It's awesome.
Like it's DJ centric with the musicians waterfalling in, and the DJ's the quarterback, and it's just super cool. It's been done nationally all over. We just do it a little different. We do it. I've worked with that band for over 10 years, and we align on the business side. You know, Chris has his thing, I have mine, but with the collaboration stuff we do with, we have an event coming up on Friday, and it has Quixotic, Lost Wax, me, and it's called Orbit.
Hold on, Quixotic.
This is the visual, like the dancers.
Hold on. They do a deal down at Crown Center.
Of course. Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
No, they're international. Like they do it all over. It's great.
But so me and my wife went down there, and I'm like, what are these people performing in front of a couple hundred people for? They're so talented and they're so athletic.
Well, dude, it's insane.
It's insane. Have you ever been there?
I
you got to go see it. You got to go down there with your wife. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So we're doing, so like you take, so it isn't, it used to be when we were all building. So at the bottom, I saw, I'm going to quote again, a little meme action. I like these. I remember the ones. I try to remember the ones. So when you're at the bottom, you're competing. You're at the top, you're collab, right? So when you're at the top of your game, you're collabing. You're at the bottom, you're competing, which is where all the cutthroat bullshit comes into play. Now, you know, it used to be I'd walk in and Quixotic would be there. Now,
is that one word?
Q-U-I-X.
Quix.
O-T-I-C.
Q-U-I-X.
So then you have on the backside, you have all of us.
There it is.
You have all of us curating, and the collaboration we come up with for the corporate event is amazing. So like Orbit, picture this: corporate event,
Excuse me.
holiday party, Quixotic, Lost Wax, then I close it out. It's very sci-fi. Name of it, I think I mentioned it, Orbit. It's at Science City, and it's very much like all things to do with space. Like I'm gonna dress like a spaceman. Like it's not cheesy. It's going to be sick. Like I'm elevated up above, like, you know, the helicopter at Science City.
Yeah.
I'm like right there looking down, and it's just super cool. Like that's the kind of stuff that I love going to DJ, and don't get me wrong. I love getting after it, and it's so much fun, but like you get to curate a band with this, and then we're all on the same team. We're all like doing, and this is super cool.
That's
But
badass.
we're all our own entities.
Andrew, like I'm telling you, these people,
It's insane.
it's ridiculous. The athleticism.
No, it's wild. So the violinist you see me play with, they have her. I didn't curate this part. They came up with it. She's going to be flying aerial, like coming down, and then she can flip upside down playing the violin.
Oh shit.
It's going to be sick. Like it's like that's the stuff. Well, and Lost Wax did the draft here. They were the draft house band.
Yeah.
You need to go watch these. See this dude on that dam? Oh, you missed
They're
it.
spinning on the Hulu.
Oh my
That's
God, he's
sick.
awesome.
Sick.
He does it on his stomach,
And there's a-
and then he picks himself back up.
Which is like all this visual stuff, like all the girls stacked like that, like where they have the light. Yeah,
it's incredibly entertaining.
That's next level.
that's Carmen right there.
It's incredibly entertaining. They did it. Me and Michelle went and watched it. It was
It's visually.
well, they
it's
put
visually,
it's put on by Quixotic, but it's called Sensatia.
yeah, Sensatia.
Sensatia.
Yeah,
There you
so
are.
they have those. So like then they will do like out at the
Holy shit.
at the garden, they called it something different. Then they'll have, oh God, there's something I can't think of all of them, but they have it's this put on by Quixotic.
Right.
Yeah, but they have a ton of those, and it's always something like super cool, and it's so out of this world. Like
No, it was
sick.
incredibly entertaining.
so that's doing cool, like doing luxury weddings, doing luxury corporate weddings, or doing just a simple corporate event at Crossroads Hotel with me and a saxophone in the little room with 50 people. Those are fun because you're building, and then you have this relationship with a client, and then you can build it next, then you move it up to this. Some of these events that I've done started with 100 people, and now there's 2,500.
Yeah.
And you're at the Lowe's Hotel, and it looks like that. And then you have dancers come in, choreographed dancers come in, and instead of just me being like, now Ashton Martin comes to the stage, hey guys, welcome. No, it's these three dancers rush the floor, they open it up, what's up, da 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 da. And then the dancers strike, then they're party motivators, they step out, they grab people, get them out on the dance floor. Then you have a violin sliding from this side on a ripstick, then the drummer comes in, and like people are like, oh, it isn't just like, we have the traditional band DJ, we do all that, that's super fun too. But when you start getting into stuff like this,
That's bad. That's
super
pretty.
fun.
It's
It's
pretty
cool.
badass.
yeah. I
What's
got
the calls I'm on, I'm always blown away. I'm like, wow, this team is insane.
They're insane.
Like the whole entire, like you're sitting here talking to people that have so much. I'm very fortunate to work with the people I do, and not just, it's just in my space, and it's cool. It's fun. Like anything I would want to put on, if a client came to me and said, hey, I have some ideas, I want to do this, I'm like, cool. And I can just pull in anything, all these pieces. It isn't me going to my warehouse. It's me pulling in all these people that are badasses at what they do. And then you have this team, and then you approach it, and then you break it all down and throw stuff against the wall, and then you come up with Orbit this Friday.
Hey, go check that out.
Well, it's a private one.
Well, damn it. I know the DJ.
Yeah, right. It's I will send you the video on it though.
Cool.
I know it's, and this gets back to some of the coolest stuff I do. Some of it I can't really post about,
Yeah.
which is cool too.
What do you mean you can't post about it?
Well, sometimes there's NDAs and stuff too.
Oh, I got. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I
some of
got
the cool,
it.
and that's not like a cool factor. I mean, it is, but it's like, it's kind of, it's like, wow. And I don't really, I've never been one to like get off on that anyway. Like, I mean, I have a social media person, Sean, doing my socials because I always feel weird posting. I feel like I'm like being braggadocious or like, look what I'm doing. Look at this. Look at
Right.
me.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to put it out there because it is a stamp of legitimacy. Like, wow, people trust him to do this. I mean, he orchestrates this whole thing. Well, yeah. I mean, I do as much as I'm needed to do, and then run that line depending on what the event may be. I play my part, whatever I need to do. Role play.
So I got a question. This is off the topic
Yeah, go ahead.
of business. Where does Ashton sit with spirituality? How does that fix into who you are?
Man, the older I get, the more. So I was born and raised Catholic, and it's a hard question because do I believe in a higher source? I'm a huge. This goes back to my grandma. Let me try to sum this up or start talking about this. Okay. So do I have?
I knew there was going to be some tough questions.
Yeah, these are right. No, this is good. I'm trying to. There's not a right or wrong answer, and I respect everybody else's answer. So, for me, I think it's different because I mean, I've laid in a hospital bed and told my family bye, and I thought I was probably going to die. So, for me, do I think it was a guy on a cloud and like no, I don't think that. I think energy is a big deal. And my grandma, I think, and this is where people get weird with, and it's funny, but whatever. You realize I'm married to a scientist, you know, so she's, you know, it's fun to talk to her about this. So, or with her. My grandma, her and I used to mess with energy when I was growing up, and we do simple stuff like, it wasn't Ouija board shit, but it was like you would take a piece of string and you'd put a crystal on it. You could tell it to go one way or the other. And we always thought the other one was lying, but we could make this crystal move. You think about it. So what was it? Her hand moving, was it not? So it started at a young age for me with that. But at the same time, I was being, you know, confirmed as a Catholic person, all that. So I always had that influence in my life. One of our best friends was actually the Catholic priest, and he was always like a buddy, like, you know, but he was our priest, but he was our buddy, you know. He would have cocktails. He would come to our house. He'd eat dinner. You know, he was cool. So I never really had any kind of hardcore beat into me, but I was able to take in what I wanted to take in and believe kind of what I wanted to believe. I got set out in the hallway a few times in the rectory because I would ask questions because I'd ask way too many questions apparently, and it made the local farmers' wives uncomfortable because I was questioning and challenging everything. Yeah. I was like, you know what we're supposed to do? But I was like 9. And so a lot of it I was like just not understanding. It just seemed too magical, and so you get outside of all that. That's how it kind of started when I was growing up. I always respected it. My mom, God-fearing woman. I think, you know, Dad, I think he has some faith too. And when I got out, like Grandma and we would talk energy. So I believed more in the energy of the universe versus, do I think there's something after death? I do. Do I think it's like as easy as heaven and hell and purgatory? No, I don't. I don't think that. I think you should be a good person. And I think what the Bible says, I think is a great way to structure your life. Like, you know, don't kill people. You know, the 10 Commandments are a solid start to life, I think. I think it has its place. Do I lean real hard into it? No, I really have no, I never have. Am I anti-God? No. Am I atheist? No. I'm not any of that. I think that a lot of things do. I've had way too many times the universe, if I'm listening, lay it right in front of me. But you're too on your phone or you listen to all the noise, which goes back to cutting the fat out and trying to focus on, you know, moving into my 40s with a clear line of sight. So does it make a lot of sense where I'm being kind of erratic in my life and then the kick I get from whatever power that is a little harder than maybe some of my friends because I'm a hard learner? Yeah. Now, here's where my wife and I, we've discussed it lightly a little bit. Like my mom wants to take Monroe to church by all means. That's fine. I'm, again, not anti-church. When they have church, the timing's a little off for a DJ.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's hard, I would imagine.
It's kind of hard, yeah. And it's right down the street, yeah, but it's still like right in the middle, you know what I mean? And that's not an excuse, but like it really kind of just doesn't fit in. But I need to have something because it was a part of my childhood, and I do remember learning things from it. And I think it's good. I think Monroe should have faith, and I think she should have the opportunity, because just like I'm putting gym in front of her, or a sport, or taekwondo, or whatever it may be, guns, fire, whatever it is that she may do, it's just as important that I expose her to faith and religion, and being maybe Catholic for her as well. I think that's the approach we're going to have. I don't believe in forcing anything, because I said it wasn't, but
we were both raised Catholic.
It kind of was.
So
it kind of was a little forced. It was like a little, because honestly, it's where I grew up. I grew up
It's part of it. Their parents' job.
Well, yeah, but
I mean,
it did hold me on track, but it was used as a disciplinary tool too. Like, God's watching. Like, I think that's kind of like,
it's fear-based.
It's like, don't fear-base me. Like I've always been like, not pushed back, but I didn't like that kind of thing. It wasn't necessarily my parents, but it was like Santa's watching, God's watching. Like,
so
like you said, it kind of made me feel weird, and I didn't like how it made me feel. I went through the whole thing, confirmed, Knights of Columbus, the whole deal. I gave it an effort. I did it, and I'm not anti. I'm still Catholic. Monroe has been baptized, and I believe I want her to be. I want to be a part of the church as a community, because I believe in community outreach. I believe in charity. I believe in taking care of people, and I do love that. I want to put into that, just like I know that you get in what you get in, you get out what you put in, and I think that's an amazing community. But we haven't figured out how we're going to approach it with Monroe, and it isn't really something you have to overthink. She's a kid.
Yeah.
I want her to go to Bible school. I do. I did. I went. Faith is an interesting thing. Like I said, I think it's more because we were talking about Neil deGrasse Tyson, right?
Yeah.
So you asked my mom, and we, like, God created us, man and woman, Adam and Eve, apple, whole nine. I'm like, that's a good story. But have you listened to this? And it's not as an aggressive conversation as it was when I was 20-some, and I'm like, leave me alone. It's now I'm like, hey, Mom, listen to this podcast. Like, this is a scientific approach to what you're telling me or what you're thinking.
Well, yeah, I mean,
you said maybe you don't agree with it, but you want to listen to it.
I enjoy listening to him. I don't agree with him at all.
But
I do like listening to him.
It can go. It's wild, because some days I'm like, all right, I kind of buy into that, and then other days I'm like, that don't make any sense.
Yeah,
that don't make any sense at all now. And I could see both sides, but again, it's a good conversation to have.
Well, I mean, I will always grapple with the scientific atheist.
100%.
That like, if you come to me and
exist, you can't say nothing. And it just all.
If you just come to me,
you can. But
if you just come to me and you're like, listen, I grapple with the idea of a creator. Okay, I get it. Who doesn't? Everyone has that.
Question things when you see bad things happen.
Yeah, it's very difficult, right, to not grapple with it at times. But if you could come to me and you're like, well, science disproves this, I'm like, no, not really.
That's not the.
No, it really.
I feel like that's a conversation that just keeps going in a circle. And no, I mean, to your point,
it does.
It's like, well, this and that, and then you're like, but this and that. Well, this and that. Well, this and that. Like,
well, here, Ravi Zacharias said it the best. Because what happens is people try to, like,
they try to prove everything wrong.
Well, they're trying to bring in determinism, and then they're trying to bring in materialism, and you can't talk about one without violating the other. So they end up in this. They end up in this circle, just like you said, and it's this, but this, and this, but this. Well,
those are hard to listen to too, because you're trying to find what they're. I know exactly what you're. Yeah.
Yeah. But you can't talk about one without violating the other. So you end up like the
circle.
Well, the scientists will say energy can never be created or destroyed. It always was and always will be. But that's the same kind of definition for God. So it's like you could say what you want. God never claimed to be a flesh and blood. Well, for believers or for. I'm not Catholic. I'm not a denominational Christian, so I
and that's probably kind of where I fall in. Like, I think that's why what I said with Monroe is because, like, I'm not going to force anything. Like, all the opportunities she has in Kansas City, like, I think it's important to guide.
Yeah,
she's 3. Yeah, I mean, lack of guidance is part of the problem if you look around, right? So I think it did hold a strong push. I mean, it held a really strong push in my childhood, influence in my childhood, because I did learn all of the, the more I sit here and think about it, it was every Sunday and I did learn it. I did Bible school in the summers and there was a certain expectation that you went and did that. And it did structure me to not be a bad kid. And it did structure me to not steal. It tells you, somebody else is telling you it and it's coming from somewhere that isn't your family or your mom or your dad. You know what I mean? So it kind of gives it a little more oomph, if you will, or a little more hold. It's just, I always enjoy talking about God, higher powers, and energy because it frustrated my mom because I think she thought I didn't believe in God, but I was spared my death. Like I survived a brutal wreck. And she's like, well, how do you think that happened? And I'm like, well, just like you don't have an answer.
Well, here, ask her.
She's like, faith. She's like, well, she's very hardcore and like, well, you got to have faith. And I'm like, yeah, but if we're having that conversation, like, okay, I'm a fit 27-year-old guy that made a bad decision that, like statistically that if you're intoxicated and you wreck, you're more this and that. And I was like, if you want to go down that rabbit hole or if you want to do that,
what about the guy that is maybe doing all the right things as from a Christianity standpoint?
Gets cancer, dies at 22.
So who did that?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, it's not a good argument.
No, it's an awful. It's a really not good argument.
It's a terrible argument.
Well, and it's.
Well, here, Andrew Ross. So.
And I'll nod to a higher power because you're kind of scared. You're like, well, you don't want to I don't think a lightning bolt's going to come out of the air. I think you can. I think you should live as a good human, and there should be some guidelines. I think we have rules, we have structure, society, or we'd be like not good. We've seen that, So
it definitely, you can make that
hard.
Argument that it's the opiate of the masses, right?
Yeah,
you could always make that argument, but here, there's even scientific atheists will concede to people who follow the rules outcompete those who don't. Okay, and no,
100%. It's just yes, because you're going to 100%.
That's some of the smartest minds in the world that are scientific atheists will concede to that. So they can't figure that out.
Well, that's another statistic. You're like, well, if you follow the rules, it's going to yield this, which is pretty cool. Or you go this way and it's not going to be good. You're like, that's not God. You're like, well, it's right and wrong, I guess. But
it stops you in your tracks for sure. So let me ask this because we could sit here all day long.
Oh no, and I welcome these combos because it's good and it's something that I've been addressing over the last since Monroe.
Yeah.
Since
here, let's look at
just in general, like spiritually doesn't have to necessarily. Okay, so for instance, like I went on an ayahuasca retreat in Costa Rica. So that was 7 days.
Fun.
That was 7 days. Drank ayahuasca from 4 different shamans up in the mountains. Came down, got different. You learn.
Is that what you did? The hallucinogenic.
You learn intention. You learn your thoughts. You learn how powerful your thoughts are. Now, there was some wild things going on around me with other people that I was like, holy shit. But which it takes a lot for me to be like, unless I'm threatened and I'm going to die, like I'll be like, I feel pretty safe, but what are we doing here? I'm not making, like, I'm here to observe this. This is interesting. So that was intense. That was an intense 5, 6, 7 days.
Did you go day after day after day? Or
I did. So we did the first 4 days, and then I came home on the 7th because the first 2 days I did it back to back 4 days, and the fourth one was 12 hours, and it was intense. That one was very sparky.
You unpacked some shit.
Yeah, it was not a lot of throwing up, not a lot of purging, if you will, but a lot of visuals, a lot of people coming and talking to me and going away. And it kept coming to me for like the 6 months after.
And everyone says how therapeutic that is. I think I would come out of that an absolute train wreck.
No,
they have things that, this is one you can really talk about.
I'm afraid I would come out like freaking schizo or something, like hearing voices and shit. I don't know that I'd be able to handle
I
that.
wasn't hearing voices. They're standing right in front of you. I had a green-eyed panther in my ear for a good 7 hours. And then I thought it was negative, and it ended up being like my spirit animal or something. Because I talked to this one shaman, I was like, yo, because they had these dogs that just like these therapeutic dogs would run around. You're just in this open little wooden hut thing with 50 other people. It was over COVID, so I got a really small group. So I was sitting there and I was laying back on this cot and I had these blinders over my eyes, but I could see like peripheral out of the side of my right eye. Right when this panther shows up with green eyes, those dogs come flying through the door. So I thought I had two things happen. One, I thought that panther was real. And two, I didn't know what the hell was going on with the dogs. I thought there was like a herd of panthers coming into the side of me. And then there's all this geometry and like a lot of shapes. That was pretty wild. But I will tell you, it was the weirdest thing. Everybody the next day, like say there was 30 in this class, 10 of them, they said, if you saw something, write it down. And they wrote it down. They put it up in this hat. Like they wrote it on a piece of paper and put it in this bowl or whatever it was. It was a bowl bucket. And like almost half of the people in that room saw the same thing.
No shit.
It was a purple octopus with like 9 tentacles, and his name was Lester.
They all say his name was Lester?
Every fucking one of them.
Holy shit.
And I'm sitting there and I'm in the back and I'm like, I'm in the first one like, and there's a purple octopus, Lester. I'm like, what the fucking shit, all right? and then the second one comes out and I go, what? And nobody knows each other. There's like one wife and one husband. Other than that, we're just all there. And the third one comes out and it was like this other like little robot named like, I don't know what it was, the name, but like 4 or 5 people said the same thing. And they weren't anywhere close to anywhere in the room. They were on the other side. And I didn't see any of that. But that was kind of wild. It was wild. Like everybody got out their own thing.
It's like a collective consciousness.
It was wild. Like it was cool.
Yeah.
I would like to do it again now knowing what's going on. I don't know where I'm going to find 7 days, but I could probably do a quick one. But I'm all about like, mushrooms, microdosing, finding your inner, like when you talk spiritual, that's the first thing I thought of when you said that. So like it's difficult, but like, yes, Catholic at your base, but I think everybody should be open to other things as well.
Well,
if it's going to enlighten you,
expand your
mind and your consciousness.
Yeah,
dude, let's go.
I agree.
What I mean? Now, if it changes me, I know a couple people that are like legitimately like
Fried.
different people.
Right.
But this is why they were the DMT. They got DMT pins and just smoked the shit out of them. And it completely rewired shit. And like, I've run into them now and I don't even know what we're talking about.
Right.
That is not the person I've known for 10, 15 years. They feel they're a better person. That's for them to know. But for me, I don't even know what I'm talking about. I might as well just shoot them up with like, I don't know. Like, it's like they took a shitload of like, I don't know. They're just very flat. I'm like, maybe you're not in jail anymore or going crazy.
You're a prisoner.
But like you want to get out of there.
Right.
And it's smoked. Like it's like
the drinking the ayahuasca, the purest form, is the best way to go.
Oh, that's what I did. Totally controlled environment.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I mean, there's people that be doing it like, they're doing it in the States and there's some spots you hear about where you get a DMT pin and like you're going down a different, I haven't traveled down this rabbit hole in a while, but there was a time when I went like February of 21 is when I went down to Costa Rica. Yeah. 21. And so it's been, a couple years and it was cool. What I took from it was like, I got to learn a lot about myself and cause you're with yourself and you're with, like, I made friends, but I also had my own little room.
You were by yourself. Your wife didn't.
I went by myself.
Yeah.
Right on a plane, flew down, got down. Yep. That's
So-
the only way I would do it.
Yeah, I think so.
They said you're supposed to not bring like a wife because then it makes you dictate things. Dude,
I agree.
You got to just go wild out on your own on that shit.
Yeah.
Then tell people what you want to tell them when they ask. Yeah, I didn't do anything wild or crazy, but I did watch a lady that she, I'm trying to think. She was not in the shape to do this. Like if you ask her to do it for $1 million, she would be able to do it. Her back of her head and her heels were in the ground and she was like this. Like her sister that committed suicide was apparently attached to her.
Oh my God.
And that was her leaving her body. I watched them hog tie her and like hold her because she was like flailing. It messed her up for a while.
No shit.
Yeah, for a long while.
I'm sure.
Man. I need to get the information for the Costa Rica trip.
So it's called arrhythmia.
Rhythmia.
Yeah, arrhythmia. And the guy that actually opened it up, he was like a psycho, crazy, flew around in a jet, just a party raging maniac. He'll tell you. Can't give his name off the top of my head. But if you bring it up, what's the guy's name? Yep, that's it right there. Let me see. Oh, God, I can't think of his name. You should read the book. So you guys like to grab books. That's him right there.
Okay.
What's his name?
He looks like a guy.
Yeah.
He looks
Gerald.
Is it Gerald?
Gerald. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was him. I forgot his name, but man, he's something else, man. His stories were wild, real, raw. It was pretty solid.
Good people because I think your set and setting has to be on point.
This is a very bougie 5-star resort.
Okay.
Very small.
Yeah. So
my day consisted of yoga at 6:00, gym at 7:30, mud bath, cold plunge,
farm to table meals.
I was in class at 8:00 every day, but I'd already done like 5 different things.
Wow.
Yep. Then you had plant.
What suffering are they talking about
That
being
was-
healed from?
Oh, anything. So like you were raped. You were.
Oh, so
like there was one lady that just stood up in the middle and started like screaming. There was some wild. So stories.
people are going in there carrying some serious weight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they release all of it. And I honestly, I mean, it just opens you up to where you dump all of that. And I think they're just so carrying it around. They're just so shedding that skin that I watch people look like they weighed 300 pounds, not physically, like they'll put it another way, like carrying like, I don't know, 200-pound dumbbells. And at the end they had nothing and they just looked light and they were vibrant. They're brighter. And we're talking 7 days, not 7 months, 7 years. Like there was, I mean, the last day, the new people were coming in, and they're doing one final breathing class. I learned how to breathe. The breathing techniques were cool. It's something I'll definitely teach Monroe.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal. You got to breathe.
It's a big deal.
Yeah. Anytime I would need her to overcome something or calm down, I just got to breathe.
Yeah.
First thing I tell her.
So it's not just you're gonna go drink this shit and go into.
Oh no, we don't even do that with you. Like it's a whole class study thing. Every day structured. You have a book. I mean, the whole thing.
You're gonna walk away.
You walk away. I mean, you give yourself a colonic. Like there's that. They tell you should purge yourself of everything and do all like. Yep.
Really?
I'd be scared of the hallucinogenic though. That just
To be real, like I fought it the first night, nothing happened. I didn't mean to fight it. I just was waiting, and I took 3 shots of it 3 different times, and it made me super, like my stomach was churning pretty solid. And I think I threw up a little bit on the first night. And then that was the only time I threw up. And then after that, I had, I think 3 or 4 shots of each one. Sometimes one is all it took. The first night I slept, I think I just slept the first night. And then I was kind of irritated because everybody had cool stories. And then I went up there and I was like, I talked to the shaman. I was like, yeah, I just slept. And she goes, like, perfect shaman counter. She's like, brother, maybe you were tired. And I'm like, well, I was. I'm not anymore. So go get it.
I don't know. I think
I didn't come to Costa Rica to sleep.
I had such a horrible experience on
Mushrooms or something.
I did. The most horrific experience that I think I would psych myself out and just freak out.
Well,
again.
see, you definitely, I mean, there's prep for this. Like you're supposed to only eat chicken and rice for 2 weeks prior. No caffeine, no soda, no nothing. Like they have the whole thing, like to get everything out of it that you want to get out of it, or that you can get out of it, right there.
I'm gonna check it out.
You can do shorter things too. I think you do like a 3-day. There's some of the people there. They were there on they kept redoing it. They're like, one girl was there like her 5th week.
Oh my God.
Ron White was there. We crossed paths on the buses.
Really?
Yeah, his yacht was sitting off. Yeah, he's trying to stop drinking. I think it worked, as far as I know.
Well, here I want to know this because we could sit here for another.
Oh, sure.
hour and a
No,
half.
I appreciate the combo. That's a good one because I've been thinking on that. And I'm glad you asked because I want that to be a part of Monroe's life. And I'm not anti anything. I'm anti shoving people down, like things down throats. Yeah. And I just don't think that's
No matter how good the cake tastes, if you shove it in my face, I'm not going to want to.
I don't want it.
I'm not going to want to eat
exactly.
it. Yeah, no, I agree with you.
Yeah. What's up?
I want to know what the next, what the future looks like for Ashton Martin. Like, so are you trying to phase yourself out of playing and start dishing things off to other people?
I have the answer for this. I think, okay, so moving into 24, I mean, anybody can see it right on my schedule. I've always done private events. I've always done the weddings, the corporate. What I'm leaning into more is probably less public shows and just more private. It's always been about balance for me, but like I said, going and playing that 150 person red room or 50 person red room gets that. Like I get that joy. I get that out of me, get out of my system, not out of my system, but I get to express and play music I want to play, in a certain way that's received in that room well. And then also what I see myself doing is more curation, more production, more hands-on. I love being hands-on nationally. There's some stuff I'm working on nationally, but at the same time, I'm not going to say no to playing a show, but I don't want to be, I didn't work hard this long to be like, I don't want to play. I'm just going to play these shows, the top 2%. I don't want to, like, I still like leaving myself open to play things that I find fun. If it's fun, I'll play it. Like, as far as like most things, but there's a lot of them. I like taking the difficult ones. I appreciate those. I think they're fun. I got to be challenged. I guess it's pretty much.
What do you mean difficult ones?
Like, not difficult. I mean the challenging ones, like the more moving parts. Like, you're with a band, you're with musicians. You have to. It's not just standing there playing music. Like, we have those. Those are fun. Those are good. We have DJs that murder those, right? But I'd say more.
You could probably do that in your sleep by now.
And I like being responsible for more moving parts and being a part of the partnership and a part of the collective effort to execute at a high level for a client and make it multiple years in a row. So you build that over and over and over and over and over, and you know what you did the year before. So like, how are we gonna make it better this year? Like, those conversations are those are the ones that those are the ones that I'm just like, this is awesome. I love being a part of it because it isn't just one person, 2 people, 3 people. It is a Quixotic and a Lost Wax and a this, that, and the other. It's like multiple people coming together and knowing their strengths and being like, okay, we'll handle this. And then you see what you can come up with. And then you fuse them together. And then when the band does this, Quixotic could do this. And then I'll come over here and do this. And then the violin does this. So then you get more in depth, which for the person watching it, for the guest, is like, there's always something going on. So
right.
It's cool. And not every gig is like that, but those are the fun ones. Like
right.
being original, like trying to be original and do stuff people haven't done before, but still cool. Like, that's like impossible to do, but you know what I mean?
So
like,
it's not really saying goodbye to something, just addition to it.
It's an addition to it.
Right.
Yeah.
You want to see.
Because I still have my client I want to play for I'm like, if I'm already booked, somebody hits me up and I'm like, oh, damn. Like, I can cover it. We can definitely. But like, I think the luxury wedding world, or just the wedding world, the private event world, the agency side with maybe some artists, aligned with some certain contracts, mixed with pretty much all the different avenues. It's just my attention to playing 35 public shows isn't where it's really leading. And I didn't really make that. I wouldn't say I made a conscious effort to be like, all right, by 2024, this is what I'm doing. It wasn't really an exit. It's just, you're 39 and I can, they're relevant. I've done a good job staying relevant in that nightlife scene, but at the same time, it's just it's a nice additive to put on my plate for 24 and still jump in and out when I want to, or when I can, when it makes sense. How about that? When it makes sense.
When do you turn 40?
April 20th.
April 24, 20.
Yeah.
So
that's my anniversary.
What's
that's cool.
Are you going to throw a birthday bash for 40? What's
I got a group. Yeah. So I got a group. We're doing, Ashley and I like doing joint stuff. So we did our joint bachelorette party in New Orleans. So we're doing our joint 40th in March between our birthdays. Hers is in February. We're going to go down with, I think we're 20, 25 people now, going to Playa del Carmen and going to stay there, run around for 5-6 days. And then it'll be just kind of our nice little party. And then I'm working on something for actual 420 for my actual birthday in town that involves some artists and some cool stuff. Trying to surround it with a charity.
Very cool.
Yeah, something like that. I haven't got that all. It's kind of put on the back burner with everything going on in December, but yeah, I got to get on that, get something going.
Well, here, let's end it with this. What's the charity that you like to donate to or contribute to, whether it's time, money, resources?
Yeah. I have a few. So Mission Driven, which is Scott Poor, he just finds homes for animals all the time. Tries to raise money. He created Mission Driven. So he was like, he could have, I think, an umbrella so he could like help all of them.
Right.
He was just at one off of, God, I forget the name. It's where I got both my dogs. Can't think. Anyway, he used to be with one shelter. Then he created Mission Driven. So that'd be one. And another partner would be probably Big Brothers, Big Sisters. Yeah. So we have that Most Wanted auction coming up on the 15th.
Cool.
Yeah. So those two. Yeah. The other one used to be First Hand Foundation, but when Oracle bought Cerner, they absorbed that. And I think
What's First Hand? What's that?
First Hand Foundation was for kids, finding medical services for kids. It was Cerner's charity. We used to do a masquerade ball every year. That was actually the corporate event that Chris and I came in together on in 2012. And that's when our like collective effort, collaboration, if you will, we started kind of sitting on the board, I guess, if you want to call it that, as entertainment. And we would build with them each year. And that's what kind of got us savvy in that. And when we both realized, wow, this is pretty cool. So
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, good stuff.
Yeah, it was fun.
Thanks so much for coming out.
Thank you guys so much. I'm glad you reached out. It's cool.
You know, I wish you a lot of luck. I think, you know, you elevating other people, elevating the DJ community in this city is awesome. And I think that you organically getting bigger just by doing that's a fantastic story. And I wish you a ton of luck. I can't wait to go check out one of your shows.
Yeah, you got to come through. I got a couple in mind I think you'd like. I was sitting here thinking about that. I was like, who can I invite them to?
I'm easy.
I'd say I think you'd really enjoy just rolling down to like Overland Park. Roll down. We're done at 1:00. You'd be like home by, no, you could leave by 11. I know you like a homebody.
Where else in the country do you perform? Can you?
You want to travel, don't you?
Well, because then I could get away from the kids, and if I got to nurse a hangover, it's a little bit easier.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you want to travel, we could pick something out. Probably it'd be probably like Vegas.
Boom, there you are.
That's easy.
When are you in Vegas?
I'm working on a few things for the first quarter. So
me and my wife love Vegas.
I mean, yeah, it's so easy. Like people that don't, it's so easy. Get the plane, go, and if people that have been to Vegas know how to do Vegas, it's super easy.
Yeah.
Stay at Cosmo. I'll rock out a set at like an STK or something. Then I'll be done at 12.
Hold on, we loved STK.
Yeah, so I love Cosmo. So
did you come when you come to STK with us?
Yeah, we'll stay in Boulevard Tower right across from Marquee. Go there, and I'll line something up.
I'll just because she wants to stay at Cosmo next time we go, so we'll just stay there.
Yeah, and maybe I'll have a companion too. So if I have a companion room, then you'll just have a room comp. I'll have to check.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's easy.
Yeah, just let me know when you're doing Vegas. I'll go to Vegas.
Yeah.
That'll be
I'll line
great.
something up first quarter because those are easy because those are like during the week. I like doing Vegas Sunday through Wednesday because that's when you want to go.
Yeah, I agree.
Sure. I was going to fly in last night actually because Monday at Jewel at Aria, it's all connected. Also, Ocean Prime just opened right there by Cosmo on the Walkway going to the shops. The one kind of the same one here. Dude, that one pretty slick. I was there a couple times last 4 or 5 weeks, and it was they had the F1 being built out. Yeah. Then like a seafood tower, watching them build out F1.
Yeah.
Their food's good. But yeah, STK's good.
STK was a blast.
Oh, STK is awesome. It's super cool.
Great concept.
Great energy. Yeah,
and the food's fantastic.
I'm actually playing in New York on the 13th of this month at the STK. I surrounded that gig with a tattoo touch up and then a new one. So
yeah.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, good luck. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
let me know when you're going to be in Vegas.
I will.
And we'll have to, I'll definitely go.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because that's easier.
You're right up here by the airport.
Well, yeah, it's not far, but believe it or not, going to a show for me in Vegas is easier than me going to Overland Park.
No, I totally get it. It is because you set everything up and then you can go. You do. I get it. I totally get it.
And I'll be able to enjoy myself.
You'll enjoy
more.
yourself because you're like, God, I get home, hang home with the kids.
And I could just relax.
We'll do like a 48.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Cool.
Awesome, man. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks,
appreciate
Ashton.
you. No, I appreciate you guys. Yeah.